non-compete agreements that was set to take effect next year. The FTC banned most non-competes, which keep employees from leaving their jobs to work for a competitor. Mountaineering officials say after 6 days of being stranded on a remote peak in Pakistan, 2 injured Russian climbers have been rescued. Others remain missing. They're presumed dead. A wildfire forcing suspension of rail service in northern Nevada, leaving several thousand rural residents without power. Also this morning, a major stretch of the Amtrak route that travels between Chicago and Oakland, California, remains shut down as safety inspectors assess potential damage. At least 4 were handcuffed as protesters rallied outside a building that houses the Israeli consulate Tuesday night. The protests, led by pro-Palestinian groups, started at around 7 p.m., later showing up between Canal and Clinton, blocked off by police in riot gear. Some Chicago firefighters protested Tuesday afternoon on the Near West Side. They've been working without a contract for years. Members of Chicago Fire Union Local 2 say they've been working without a contract for over 1,100 days. Union President Patrick Cleary.
There's one job that's not going to be done, basically, and then as I'm running it, I have to figure out who can fill in for that. Do I take another guy off a different rig? Do I request another rig to come in? But that all takes time. You should have your manpower there immediately.
Inside the DNC, former President Barack Obama rallied behind Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
If we work like we've never worked before, if we hold firm to our convictions, we will elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States.
Illinois throwing its support behind Vice President Harris during last night's roll call as well. In other news, 1 man is dead, 5 wounded following a shooting in Chicago's Back of the Yards neighborhood. Chicago murder suspect is in custody following a standoff in Lake Barrington near Route 14 and Pepper Road. Cody Bellinger go-ahead 2-run double in the 5th inning. Cubs beat the Tigers 3-1, while the White Sox lost to the Giants 4-1. The news, a service of Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule that free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
This week on The Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Kamala Harris, she is quite literally the most progressive left to ever run for president on any major party campaign, and she has chosen someone who matches her almost exactly.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on The Hill, Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
As a business owner, do you have a strategy for exiting your business? Most business owners don't. Studies done by the Exit Planning Institute show 75% of business owners who don't have an exit plan are dissatisfied with their exit, and 80% of businesses put to market never sell. Total Clarity Wealth Management understands the hesitation to discuss exiting. Will customers leave? Will competitors take advantage? Will key employees leave? That's why they offer confidential planning. Contact Anne Marie at Total Clarity Wealth Management. Discover what the financial foundation should be to pursue an exit that is satisfying. At some point, you are going to leave your business. Will it be on your terms? Total Clarity can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Anne Marie is a certified exit planning advisor. Visit TotalClarityBusiness.com. That's TotalClarityBusiness.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
If you have high blood pressure, you have the #1 risk factor for mortality.
Don't be a walking time bomb. Make this change and watch your blood pressure drop.
Order a 120 Life today.
Yes, 120 Life is an amazing blend of superfruit juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure.
It's been endorsed by thousands of health professionals and doesn't have the side effects of medication.
It's up to you to control your blood pressure, not Big Pharma.
Seriously, 120 Life could be the natural game changer in your life. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. You've got nothing to lose but your high blood pressure.
Go to 120life.com and use promo code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
120 Life is so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in just 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied.
Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. From pomegranates to cranberries, it's the delicious way to lower your blood pressure. It really works.
Go to 120life.com now. Use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
5:37, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. South Elgin, accident in cleanup stages. Route 25 in Seminary, McHenry, Bull Valley Road, and Crystal Lake Road. An accident. Big problems on the Bishop Ford outbound, entirely shut down due to a fatal crash investigation. All traffic is being diverted off around or at 130th after the crash occurred around 2 a.m. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Partly sunny and nice, high 77, clear and 58 overnight. 57 at O'Hare, 48 in Aurora, 51 in Kankakee, and in Morris, 62 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday's festivities at the DNC began with the performative state delegate voting process to codify Kamala as their nominee.
Queen, I'm the queen.
And we were treated to Lil Jon.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are familiar with Lil Jon. Maybe you probably recognize a couple of the tunes that played as he enthralled the crowd.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight to officially nominate Kamala Harris for president. Five, get loud, another round of shots. DNC, turn out for what? Turn out for what?
Dog was stepping to this, guarantee you that.
Turn out for what? Yeah, turn out for what? Let's go, let's go. Turn out for what? Hey, everybody get your hands up. Hey,
Then it was time to get low. Almost time to get low. Better gets ready.
Now, say, we're not going back. We're not going back.
Back to.
We're not going back.
Put that P hat on with that grill.
P.P. Harris. Coming to
There it
wall.
is.
There you go.
Time to get low.
P.P. Harris. Coming to wall. Hey.
Wonderful. Such an interesting artist choice and song choice. Get Low, that you started the riff there. You ever listen to the lyrics of Get Low?
No, how bad are they? Oh, is he getting low for another reason? Oh, he's telling us. Okay, I think I know what you're.
No, I didn't ask you to guess what the lyrics are. Have you ever listened to the lyrics of
No.
Get Low? It's interesting for a convention that spends so much time waving their vagina hats around for a party that is so completely feminized, full of cucks and male impersonators and man-hating shrews. What?
Well, there's a lot of beeping in that. So,
Get low, get low, to the window, to the wall, till the sweat drop down my balls, till all those bitches crawl.
Oh, I see what. Yes.
Just, just pointing out, Lil Jon's entertaining to me, particularly when Chappelle sort of posterized him by doing an impersonation of him, which we'll get to. But it speaks to this ghetto culture.
Well, and then each state had their own walk-up song. Oh, by the way, remember when Governor Pritzker didn't know what that was? When an Illinois State baseball player asked him and Darren Bailey in a debate, like, what would your walk-up song be?
Well, that's because he doesn't walk.
Well, because he didn't know what that meant. But now, last night he knew what that meant. But Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, she was trying to coordinate something with other delegates and trying to be cool. Of course, their walk-up song was Eminem.
And I'm Governor Gretchen Whitmer. We cut taxes. We protected freedoms. We brought manufacturing home, and we know how to win. This November, we're origin together. Michigan cast three President 125 votes for our next president, Kamala Harris.
They were such tryhards all night. They were trying to do something in sync and talk. Hawaii came out and they said, we are the first state to legalize abortion. Woo! First things out of their mouth.
Are you going to do a Bob or Buffalo Grove and recount all 50 states? Or
No, just
can I go
the
back
ones
to
that
Lil
were-
Jon now?
Oh, yeah. Okay. You can go back to Little John.
Thank you. So Lil Jon at the airport. Chappelle.
Are you checking any luggage today, sir? Yeah! Did you pack the bags yourself? Yeah! And the bags have been in your possession the whole time?
What?
Have these bags been in your possession the whole time?
What?
These bags have been in your possession the whole time.
What?
These bags, were they in your possession the whole time?
What?
And these bags have been in your possession the whole time?
Yeah!
All right. Well, Mr. John, you're all set.
Okay!
Pardon me, madam. Will this be reflected upon my frequent flyer miles?
Did you book your flight online?
Yeah!
And it will be.
Okay!
Have a nice flight.
What?
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 Have a nice flight.
Okay!
I do love Chappelle. A moment in the life of Lil Jon was sort of a recurring skit he did when Get Low was particularly popular. He's got basically 2 songs, and you heard them last night at the convention. But I just want to take note of how mindless it all is and how they platform gutter culture. They platform things that they would otherwise find disgusting. That parade or beauty pageant of hypocrisy that Ray Lopez mentioned when we were talking about the protesters a bit.
Remember Kamala's event in Atlanta? The twerker. What was her name? I don't even know what her name was.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion, excuse me. Twerking and showing off her butt cheeks. I was like, what the heck is this? And people even in the stands looked a little mortified, thinking, well, I thought I was going to a Kamala Harris rally, not a freak show.
They're all so cool and all courant. John and Piatone, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi there. History brings me back to thinking about Pinocchio. Every time he lied, his nose grew. How many people at that convention do you think wouldn't be able to turn their head in the room?
Thanks for the call, John. When we get to the speakers, of course, we opened up. I mean, we don't have to go through all of them, but the comparison contrast on a few is interesting before we get to the featured Obamas. The opener that I took interest in, particularly because of who followed him, was Comrade Bernie. And that old crank from Vermont got up there and gave the typical Workers of the World Unite rap that he is wont to give, that shot him to such celebrity over the last couple of election cycles. But it's interesting to be part of the incumbent party and an ally of those on stage as well as those who exited stage left on Monday night and be lodging these grievances.
Because too many of our fellow Americans are struggling every day to just get by, to put food on the table, to pay the rent, and to get the health care they need.
And he continued.
My fellow Americans, when 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck, the top 1% have never, ever had it so good.
This is happening
Isn't
under...
he one of the 1%?
Well, also, this is happening under who?
The top 1% have never, ever had it so good. Line. We need an economy that works for all of us, not just the billionaire class.
Right.
And who went after Bernie Sanders?
A representative of the billionaire class, our very own Jelly Belly. And Jelly Belly had a little interesting comparison, contrast his own self, comparing his tenure as governor of Illinois to Trump's presidency.
We eliminated the grocery tax.
No, you didn't. It takes place in 2026.
Donald
Double the
hasn't
gas
been in a
tax.
grocery store since his first bankruptcy.
It's so funny.
Illinois invested in clean energy and the jobs it brings. Donald claimed that windmills in the ocean made the whales a little batty. During COVID, we supported small businesses and jobs. And Donald told us to inject bleach.
Lies, lies, and more damn lies. And he was the one that was perpetuating to the couch comment with J.D. Vance.
I mean, Illinois you must be so proud of yourselves to have this governor. I don't consider myself from Illinois anymore. I'm told I can't talk about Illinois, but
Well, you're from the mean streets of Wheaton. Don't you ever forget it, Dan
from,
Croft.
but in terms of living in Illinois, I'm not living here anymore, so I don't take credit for what happens here anymore, or blame. Yeah, that's quite a riff he went on. Remember how Jelly Belly supported small businesses during the COVID lockdowns?
Yeah, he didn't. He locked them down. They were non-essential businesses, and everybody went out of business because of his tyrannical rules that he put in place. He's a monster. People don't understand. They think he's the jolly fat guy. He has got a mean streak to him. Same with Tim Walz.
Jelly
Don't let
Belly.
those jazz hands fool you.
Jelly Belly went on to lodge another assault on Trump. You know, not only their competing records, put together quite a record. Illinois is just killing it, or people being killed in it, probably more accurate.
Donald Trump thinks that we should trust him on the economy because he claims to be very rich. But take it from an actual billionaire. Trump is rich in only one thing: stupidity.
Boy, those are some good writers he's got. There's no question. It's interesting for Jelly Belly to be brandishing his billionaire status, something he normally wants to downplay. I'm old enough to remember when he ran for governor a couple times and we had to hear the invented sad sack story about how he was raised in a single-parent household, like they were just getting by. But no, he is a billionaire, and he knows how you become a billionaire. You sue your family for your inheritance, and then you take the toilets out of your house to save on property taxes. So he can really give a stern talking to Trump or any other person who's actually run a business, as he pretends, as he has during his gubernatorial campaigns, to be some sort of tech entrepreneur. It's comical. By the way, talk to people, if you don't believe me, talk to people in YPO, that were in his YPO chapter before he was governor, and what they think of him. What a joke that he is.
He wasn't even allowed to be around the family business, the hotel chains. They didn't want to have anything to do with them.
You go play in politics or do something. Just stay away from the balance sheets over here. Don't try to run anything, Governor Flounder Dorfman. I'm sort of now thinking about maybe moving to Flounder Dorfman and away from Jelly Belly as a moniker. I know he bristles at name calling, just as we heard other speakers. They bristle at name calling, and then
do his name call.
Yeah, he's only rich in stupidity. Is that name calling, or is that a substantive critique?
I mean, this whole DNC convention is just a look at me. and to bash Trump because they're not talking about the economy or the border or prices or inflation. They might dabble in it. And there's no word of any of the American hostages still being held by Hamas. God forbid if we talk about anything substantive.
Roger in DeKalb, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, so not only have Democrats lost their sense of humor, but they have no sense of irony either, because the fact they all bemoan the 60% of people living paycheck to paycheck, they have no problem with the 35% of people who live paycheck to paycheck of government paychecks. The welfare state put everybody on welfare. That's fine with them, but they do nothing for the economy. So have a good day.
Thanks for the call, Roger. Larry Elmhurst.
Hey, good morning. Hey, very, very, very obese, drunk and stupid is no way to go through life. That's a good name for him, though.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the call, Larry. Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Hey, good morning. I was reading that 21% more people watched the DNC convention than the RNC convention. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Where'd you hear that?
Election.
Or
I read
did
it
you read
on Media Bistro, TV Newser.
Mm-hmm.
They give all the statistics on who's watching what.
Oh, I don't buy that for a second.
Well, I mean,
Because the RNC was right after the assassination attempt.
yeah, thanks for the call, Joe.
Democrats were watching that.
But I also think that the Kamala, obviously Walz is, but even Kamala is much more of an unknown quantity than is Trump. So, maybe it's a little later. People are back and school has started, and so you're back to your routine. Whereas a month ago it was still the throes of summer.
Yeah.
So that I think that's part of it. Part of it may be the unknown quantity of Kamala. She's more of an unknown quantity. How she performs now that she's been leveled up. But I wouldn't read too much into that in terms of how that translates into enthusiasm or, and by extension, turnout and actual results. I wouldn't read too much into that.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Jeffrey Salvetti, Vice President of Blue Star Security and a 15-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com.
Join Allie Beth Stuckey and the Illinois Family Institute for the Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, 7 p.m. Friday, September 6th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. For tickets, go to IllinoisFamily.org.
Christianity brings civilization, goodness.
Allie Beth Stuckey, wife, mom, author, followed by thousands on her hit Relatable podcast. Hear her fresh and firm call for Christians to lead in Illinois, in America, for faith, family, and freedom. For tickets, go to IllinoisFamily.org.
Christians have always been on the front lines of human progress, set in love.
Allie Beth Stuckey and the Illinois Family Institute's Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, Friday, September 6th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. For tickets, go to IllinoisFamily.org. IllinoisFamily.org.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. As the Democrats gather this week in Chicago, one ABC News host pressed Democrat strategist and Kamala Harris surrogate Kayvon Schroff to explain why Harris has refused interviews or press conferences or to publish her policy positions on the campaign website. Schroff offered a true insight into both the Democrat nominee and the media around her. The more details you share, the more your policies are going to get picked apart, Schroff observed, and then added, I trust the journalists to explain these policies and our values to folks. That should shock American voters. First, because Harris and her campaign don't believe she should be transparent about her policy agenda. It's the Nancy Pelosi formula again, only this time for the presidency. You have to elect Kamala before you can know what's inside her policy agenda. Second, because Democrats expect the media to essentially campaign for her. We all know how this works, Shroff said. We certainly do, and it's not healthy for the nation. I'm Ed Morrissey.
AM 560, The Answer.
Well, there's a couple of shoes yet to drop over the next 80 days, so, take everything in stride. A lot of activity will be packed in, including a decision maybe coming from RFK Jr. to step out of the race and support Trump. His running mate, Nicole Shanahan, had this to say about what they're thinking right now on a podcast.
Focus on a vision that goes beyond November. And if that means that we stay in and, there's benefits to staying in. If we get over 5% of the vote, we actually establish ourselves as a party. 71% of Americans want a strong third party with a real shot at winning. There's even public funds available if we get over 5% of the vote. So we could get, I think it's like $13.5 million in public funds to keep the party going. And that's, that's worth something. That means that we can position for a real third party election in 2028 where we don't have to go around and spend tens of millions of dollars on ballot access, which means that we can spend all of that time and money campaigning. So, there's two options that we're looking at, and one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Waltz presidency because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision.
Oh, that would be an interesting development if they walked away and RFK Jr. endorsed Trump. Again, if polls stay where they are in some of these battleground states, it could make a difference on the margin in a couple states. We'll see.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The primetime lineup, 6:06.
It's now 7 a.m. 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
She's the formal Democratic nominee now. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We have hard work ahead of us, but we like hard work. Hard work is good work.
Vice President Harris at a rally in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She also remotely addressed the convention in Chicago, where a ceremonial roll call made her and running mate Tim Walz the Democrats' 2024 ticket.
I thank everyone there and here for believing in what we can do together.
In Chicago, the Obamas took the spotlight.
Kamala and Tim understand that when everybody gets a fair shot, we are all better off.
He also said this about former President Trump.
We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos.
The former First Lady told the convention hope is making a comeback.
Michelle Obama is asking you, no, I'm telling y'all to do something.
The crowd chanting back, do something, and the Trump team responding, quote, are they aware that their party has been in charge of the country for the last 3.5 years?
That's Fox's Brooks Singman in Chicago. Former President Trump was in Howell, Michigan, putting a focus on fighting crime as he hits battleground states this week to counter Democrats.
When I'm president of the United States again, we will never even think about or mention the words defund the police.
Now, the former president and his running mate, J.D. Vance, will be in North Carolina today. Back to Chicago, there were more pro-Palestinian demonstrations and American flag burning right outside the Israeli consulate.
The protesters, many clad in black with their faces covered, clashing with Chicago PD, who were out in this massive show of force, many of them in full riot gear. They had to form a line and push the agitators back from the consulate.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. There's been a school shooting overseas in a small town in Bosnia. A school employee He killed the principal, a teacher, a secretary, then turned the gun on himself. Now he's seriously injured. America's listening to Fox News.
.57 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. At least 4 were handcuffed as protesters rallied outside the building that houses the Israeli consulate, prompting confrontations last night with Chicago police. The protests led by pro-Palestinian groups began at 7 p.m., ending up at Canal and Clinton, where they were hemmed in by Chicago police and other law enforcement. Some Chicago firefighters protested Tuesday afternoon on the near west side. They said they've been working without a contract for years. Union President Patrick Cleary.
There's one job that's not going to be done, basically. And then as I'm running it, I have to figure out who can fill in for that. Do I take another guy off a different rig? Do I request another rig to come in? But that all takes time. You should have your manpower there immediately.
The union applied for a permit to protest during the DNC, but says their request was denied twice. Illinois Democrats continue to be pressed on why Kamala Harris and not President Joe Biden. Tuesday at the DNC, Illinois Senate President Don Harmon says it's simple to him.
President Biden did a brave, courageous, and patriotic thing and passed the torch to a new generation. And we're here to support the new ticket, and we're grateful for his service and for his sacrifice.
Republicans have characterized Biden's sudden departure from the race as a coup. In other news this morning, 1 man is dead, 5 others are wounded. Follows a shooting in Chicago's Back of the Yards neighborhood. A Chicago murder suspect is in custody following a standoff in the northwest suburbs. Osceola Little led police on a chase that ended yesterday near Route 14 and Pepper Road in Lake Barrington.
We established a very large perimeter with our municipal partners who were absolutely tremendous during this entire search effort. We had the assistance of the Illinois State Police additionally, and other area resources that came out and really lended a lot of assistance, tools for us to use, including an aircraft, drones.
Lake County Deputy Chief Chris Cavelli, another person believed to be the suspect's girlfriend, was also taken into custody. Cody Bellinger, a go-ahead 2-run double in the 5th. Dansby Swanson, a solo home run in the Cubs' 3-1 win at Wrigley over the Tigers. White Sox 3 hits in a 4-1 loss to San Francisco. The news, a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains what power looks like.
Having Donald Trump on is deemed by the European Union as harmful content. It's a left-wing organization. Where there is enormous power in a government, it is overwhelmingly likely to be left-wing. The left is a big danger to humanity.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like climbing a mountain, but that mountain is also covered in banana peels. Then when something new gets added to your list, you're like, nope, I'm already climbing this huge, super slippery banana peel mountain of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to manage your policy on our mobile app. So climbing that banana peel mountain feels more like a leisurely stroll. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Wow, she loves it. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I'm talking about a woman that I met at the pool. Arthritis robbed her of so much, but there's effective ways to deal with that pain without drugs or surgery. She went to QC Kinetics. They use cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizes your joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain like my new friend I met at the pool, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, and restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Call them today for a free consultation. They'll walk you through the process, tell you how it all works. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee, and Saturday appointments are available. 312-809-5955. Write it down, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It is a service of our friends at Papa Nicholas Coffee. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online, papanicholas.com. Westmont this morning. Ogden Avenue, both directions, entirely shut down. Huge response to a fire at Westmont Manor Health and Rehab and Nursing Homes Center. There's a structure fire there. It's in between two major car dealerships as well, too. Ogden Avenue shut down between Oakwood and Downers Drive in Westmont this morning. 8094 accident, right lane blocked. Eastbound side at Calumet Avenue. I-80 left lane blocked with an accident eastbound before 80th. And we continue to monitor the Bishop Ford outbound, now entirely shut down between 130th and Dalton due to an earlier fatal accident. All traffic diverted off at 130th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Andy Robb.
Partly sunny, nice for today, high 77, clear tonight, low 58. Mostly sunny on Thursday, the high 81. Tomorrow night, low 60. Sunshine, patchy clouds on Friday, high 82. I'm Andy Robb on AM 560, The Answer.
57 at O'Hare, 57 Midway, 48 in Aurora. And your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Where my dogs at? Last night was the night. Dog.
Woo-hoo, he's hot.
Dog Emhoff.
And he's got game, Dan. Woo.
The second gentleman. About to become the first dude. So he thinks. And you know, no one likes a love story more than me.
I know. You love the Bill and Hillary Clinton one in the law library. I saw her. And I was about to put my hand on her back, but then realized that wasn't appropriate.
Gets
and
me
then he
every
goes
time.
on and does inappropriate things later in life.
Gets me every time. The Yale Law Library love story. Mm-hmm. Dog's got a love story. Because that's how dog do it. Now, he had to get through some business first. Painful.
I got married, became a dad to Cole and Ella. Unfortunately.
How to make it work. Okay. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. Fine.
Trying to figure out how to work. Well, he got divorced because he knocked up the nanny.
Well, he's trying to figure out how to work that. Like a little something on the side, a little side piece. Wasn't working out, though, because I was a kid's nanny and teacher at school, too.
Top Dog did that. Top Dog did that.
You don't go and tap that. Okay.
All right. But now the love story.
Everybody cozy in.
Wrap yourself in an Afghan and
grab yourself a cup of coffee.
Get
a good one.
Got a little scoop or two of Haagen-Dazs and listen to this yarn.
In 2013, I walked into a contentious client meeting. We worked through the issue, and by the end of the meeting, the now happy client offered to set me up on a blind date, which is how I ended up with Kamala Harris's phone number. Now, for generations, people have debated when to call the person you're being set up with. And never in history has anyone suggested 8:30 a.m. And yet, that's when I dialed.
Hilarious.
I got Kamala's voicemail, and I just started rambling. Hey, it's Doug. I'm on my way to an early meeting. Again, it's Doug. I remember I was trying to grab the words out of the air and just put them back in my mouth. And for what seemed like far too many minutes, I hung up. By the way, Kamala saved that voicemail, and she makes me listen to it on every anniversary.
He did.
And guess what Thursday is? Oh, tomorrow is their 10-year anniversary.
What else does she make you do, Doug? I mean, this guy. This guy, seriously. I was just listening to this. I tweeted out yesterday. He makes Alan Alda look like Spartacus. Follow up. Does Doug have a penis?
Stop it.
I mean, honestly, could this guy be any more of a dink?
I know, it's embarrassing. But he wasn't done talking. He was telling his life story, and his mom and dad were there, and kids, and his ex-wife was there. It's a big, dysfunctional
Was the
family.
nanny there? The I think I may know the source of Doug's gender confusion.
Okay, tell me.
He sort of gave a tell during the speech. I don't know if you picked up on it.
And I rode to Little League practice in the way back of my coach's wood-paneled station wagon. And if we did well, we got to have a Slurpee after.
What else happened in the back of that station wagon, Doug? Would you like to share? Hey, I've got this doll. Point to where. Interesting.
Yeah, I know.
It's funny too the parallel, because that was the same deal that Kamala had with Willie Brown, except Willie's the one who got the Slurpee.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can text us on that same line, and you don't have to put in DA. Just text us.
You know how first ladies have a special cause they take up, like childhood literacy or AIDS prevention or whatever over the years.
Or eating healthy, yes.
Right, getting in shape, yeah.
Say no to drugs, yes. What was Dog's initiative?
Well, Dog /Doug, it's going to be hard to keep up the dog routine with that speech last night.
I mean,
that guy is not a guy. I don't know.
Who's more of a man, him or Tim Walz?
I mean, he is.
He's insufferable. I mean, but he seems true to himself. I mean, I don't. He likes what he's got going on, so.
Yeah, he got it going on, all right. Dog's cause, as it was in his role as the second gentleman, I assume he'll level it up if he becomes the first gentleman. You know what his cause is.
There's too much of toxicity, masculine toxicity out there, and we've kind of confused what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine, where you've got this trope out there that you've got to be tough and angry and lash out to be strong. It's just the opposite. Strength is how you show your love for people. Strength is how you are for people and how you have their back and how you stick up for other people and pushing out against bullies. I mean, that's what I believe it is. So every time I can speak against this toxicity, we're seeing it with our younger people, we're seeing it in our discourse, in our politics, in the media, you're seeing it as it relates to so many of the issues that we're pushing back on. So I think it's a problem, and I'm going to continue to use this platform every time I get to speak out against this toxic masculinity that's out there.
Yeah, I love you have to be a tough guy. No, you have to talk like Sandy Duncan. And in vague generalities and these pathetic platitudinous riffs about love and your family and this and that. First of all, I got to tell you, after listening to him last night, I don't believe he had the affair with the nanny.
Oh no,
I
think he got soft over the years or something. I
don't think he has the equipment to have the affair.
No, she didn't deny that it happened, so it happened.
Yeah, I think it's a cover story to maintain this idea that he is a functioning man. I honestly, I'm calling into question. I'm not one given conspiracy theories, but this guy, running around with one on the side.
He's got a side hustle.
No way. This guy. Wow. Boy, that was something. But I mean, that's my perspective. I love to hear from the female side, the Hallmark Channel types, because I'm sure he, warmed their cockles with his love story about Kamala. How did you receive it?
Well, it made him a little more personable because we don't know his story. I didn't know he grew up in New York, then moved to New Jersey, then to California.
Yeah.
But the story that he told about how Kamala was locked in the other day, he saw her sitting on the fainting couch in their bathroom.
Their
and
private
she was
moment.
locked in.
Yeah.
And he was wondering, I don't want to bother her because she's involved in this very intense conversation. And she was talking to my daughter.
Yeah.
That's what a good stepmother she is.
Yeah, no, I was a puddle.
Yeah, I'm
after
sure
hearing
you were
that.
a wreck.
Yeah.
He said it a little differently than I did, but you get the picture that, he's trying to cast her in this no, he's a little mush of a man. Come on. I mean, grow a pair. Especially if you're going to be the first dude and the first dude. There's got to be a maturation process with him. Dan, I think you could be the man to help him.
I find him more distasteful than Kamala.
Do you really?
Yeah, he's more grating to me than Kamala.
Well, he's less of a threat than she is, but okay. But you could help him. You could be his life coach.
Yeah, like that thought consultant that what's his hibiscus? What's the from the Daily Show? The thought consultant. All right, so that was Dog. I mean, he is such a dud. But then it was time to step up in weight class.
Oh yeah.
And
you had my girl there.
Yeah, Michelle Obama. I thought this was an interesting choice in terms of the opening of her remarks.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
I wasn't expecting that. Were you?
She doesn't have anything.
I wasn't expecting that. Maybe that's where Doug's is.
Oh, yeah, right. She's just holding it for him.
Kamala is. Somebody is. Anyway.
I thought she looked gorgeous.
No, stunning.
And she's in great shape.
Mm-hmm.
Unless she's on Ozempic like everybody else is in her social circles. But no, she was angry. She's a downer. She wasn't even.
She's always angry.
Oh, you know what though? She is always. That is very true. Because I saw her at East Bank Club a lot, and she always had this look of, I'm gonna bite you, if you know what I mean.
Until recently, I have mourned the dimming of that hope. And maybe you've experienced the same feelings. That deep pit in my stomach, a palpable sense of dread about the future.
And then we stabbed Joe Biden in the back, and now we're hopeful. And now we're here.
Well, it was interesting, just the cadence of the evening. So you had Comrade Bernie bloviating about billionaires, as this is want, followed by a member of the billionaire class through inheritance. That would be Jelly Belly, Governor Flounder Dorfman. Then you had somebody who was suspicious of the billionaires. They sort of kept going back and forth. By the way, just as a quick aside on Bernie, 60% of people living paycheck to paycheck and too many people that can't afford rent and groceries and so forth. Can you help me understand this? We have a president who belongs on Mount Rushmore. Consequential president, one of the most important and best presidents of the last 100 years. This is what they say. Bernie Sanders was his point man to run through all that spending in the Senate. One of his point men, in addition to Pagliacci Schumer, of course. And so how is that? So you got your guy. He was a wild success. You got your program, and you're complaining that 60% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and all these people can't afford rent and groceries and gas and so forth. So how is that? How can all of those things be true? Because they are. They just don't logically follow. Just a digression there. But Michelle also, this is a very interesting thing to say. I mean, it's also sort of the navel-gazing variety, as you would expect from the Obamas, the solipsists that they are. But this was so anti-billionaire, clap for a billionaire who did it through no effort of his own. All these people that are so prey to class envy, lathering it on for Jelly Belly, this little piglet who was born with a silver shovel in his mouth. So bizarre. But I mean, it just shows this beauty pageant of hypocrisy that Alderman Ray Lopez mentioned. And then Michelle comes in. These are two people. One, who, made her way. Well, both of them made her way to the Ivy League in one form or the other.
Tim Walz should rip on Michelle for doing that.
Didn't have, but sort of had phony baloney jobs. I know she was at Sidley, Michelle was for a minute, but then she had that phony baloney job at the University of Chicago.
She made $300,000 a year on that.
Yeah. Barack Obama never had a job. Still can't find a steel worker. He was supposedly out of work steel worker. He was supposedly community organizing for. And now they're worth something in the neighborhood of $100 million. And yet this is what she has to say.
You see, my mom, in her steady, quiet way, lived out that striving sense of hope every single day of her life. She believed that all children, all people have value, that anyone can succeed if given the opportunity. She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed. They understood that it wasn't enough for their kids to thrive if everyone else around us was drowning. So my mother volunteered at the local school.
So then Malia shouldn't have been hanging out at the peninsula this week?
Right.
So now they
shouldn't have gone to UC Lab.
They have generational wealth, but of course they're exempted. I mean, this is, again, attendant to being a new Bolshevik, is that hypocrisy is a privilege. Your hypocrisy is the privilege that comes with being the Bolshevik, being the great savior of the hoi polloi.
Got the best text message ever. Trump and Vance created their wealth prior to taking office. Most Dems like Biden, Harris, the Obamas, Clintons, AOC created their wealth because of their offices.
Or while in office, like Biden.
Office.
Yeah.
But the Obamas, they have the Netflix deal, they have book deals, they have, 5 homes. They're worth $70 million now. And she's up there saying stuff like that.
Mo and Lyons.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, Doug, the first eunuch, he can pick up right where Richard Simmons left off. Get a tank top, some oversized American flag shirts, and that could be his mission.
Yeah, I don't want to see Dog in short shorts, but I hear you. Thanks for the call, Mo. Mike in Yorkville.
Dan and Amy, good morning. Dan, you've given some nice national numbers, but realistically, you don't have to reach that far outside Chicago with any of the jobs numbers and everything else. There are many union people that are getting walking papers right now.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons you see is because of that DNC convention, because they were unsure, the contractors, of what was going to happen in and around Chicago. And they're still not even thinking that they'll continue on the projects because there's going to be some other issues ahead. And these people, if they want to continue voting that way, there's no way of convincing them any different. I mean, if you look at it for, what it was, they're not going to want to listen to anything of what you can tell them. They're just going to go ahead and keep voting that way, and there's no fixing it.
Yeah, well, that may be the case, Mike. I don't know. I mean, but don't worry. That private investment drying up in Chicago. You got BLM Brandon coming in with $1.2 billion in funding money to turn the financial district into a public housing project. So that'll be work for a while. And then it'll be mostly work for the police.
I have a question for you. Did you find it odd that Kamala and Tim Walz weren't even there last night? That they were in Milwaukee? I mean, was the room too big that they didn't want her, that Obama was there and that she couldn't be in the same room as him because she didn't want to upset Joe Biden, who's got a riff right now with Obama for pushing him out of office? Or am I becoming an
I don't know. It was odd that
conspiracy?
she wasn't there for the former president and the former first lady.
And for the former roll call.
Well, yeah. But I mean, especially in prime time to see them in the box and to see the reaction shots, the pro forma reaction shots and all of that, and everybody putting on their smiley faces.
Well, she left her own party. Like, this is a celebration of her, and she's not even there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I found it very strange.
Yeah.
Something's going on inside baseball that we might not know about.
Maybe Dog was a little bit nervous, and he didn't want. He wanted to be able to keep it together. Tony and Roselle.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm curious if anybody has physically seen the exclusion zone for themselves around the United Center. There are miles of heavy fencing, anti-truck things, thousands of. It looks like an outpost in Afghanistan. I don't see it on the news, but it is absolutely astonishing if you go there in person.
Oh, yeah. And then also if you drive down Michigan Avenue and you see the Peninsula Hotel, that's 2 fences in. And then if you look at State Police here, 500 National Guardsmen are here. I mean, it just goes on and on.
When we come back, 6:36, we'll pick this up because Michelle had more to say, and then she turned it over to her husband. So we'll have more on that. Take your call, 6:36.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Scott Bartmus, co-founder of ESCO, a security and fire alarm services business and a customer of Signature Bank. We work hard to give our customers peace of mind, so it's nice to know that while we have our customers' backs, partners like Signature Bank have ours. When COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty for many businesses, particularly surrounding the PPP loan program, with parameters and deadlines changing constantly. The executives from Signature Bank worked weekends alongside their staff, filling out and submitting applications to ensure they took care of us. That type of dedication is hard to find, but we found it with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Do you just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free, it's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Hear that? The sound of water being poured on 800-degree rocks. If you were here in this sauna, you'd be so hot you wouldn't have the energy to move. But you're not here. Because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. Besides, after a long ride, a helmet sweat is way more satisfying. So if you ride, switch to Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer, without even breaking a sweat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
632, 57 degrees. And last night, on the near west side, Barack and Michelle Obama took center stage at the Democrat National Convention.
A loud cheer from the more than 20,000 here at United Center as former President Barack Obama leaves the stage. He and his wife, Michelle, the headline speakers on night 2 of the convention. The former First Lady urged people to vote in November, especially with the compact timeline for Vice President Kamala Harris. And the former president had his zingers for Donald Trump, but also seemed to preach how the Democratic Party should be a big tent party. In Chicago, I'm Rob Dawson.
Chuck Schumer going to bat for Kamala Harris on stage last night.
This November, we can choose a brighter, a fairer, a freer future, or we can relive the dark night of Trump's American carnage.
Former President Trump was campaigning in Michigan as Democrats rallied here in Chicago. Fox's Aisha Hasni was in Howell, Michigan.
President Trump is taking advantage of the fact that Democrats are in Chicago. Trail hitting these battleground states and talking about the issues. And the issue du jour is crime. He will be here at the county sheriff's department to talk about his crime policy today. So let's talk a little bit about Michigan right now. 15 electoral votes up for grabs. Trump won this state in 2016, lost it by a smidgen in 2020. A pretty big large Arab population in this state, uncommitted Democrats, but right now Harris has an edge over Trump by about 4 points in that recent New York Times Siena poll.
And Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz is still in the running after defeating a primary challenger in Florida. In Alaska, incumbent Democrat Representative Mary Petola moved on to the November election. In Wyoming, Republican incumbent Senator John Barrasso easily won his primary. Mpox is spreading from Africa to Europe, triggering a global warning from the WHO. Experts worry the monkeypox virus, which has killed more than 500 and sickened 15,000, could be headed to Europe or the U.S. Authorities in Argentina this morning have quarantined a cargo ship after a crew member showed symptoms of monkeypox. Former Minneapolis police officer convicted of killing George Floyd has been moved to a prison in Texas. Derek Chauvin yesterday was relocated from a transfer facility in Oklahoma to a minimum security federal prison in Big Spring, Texas. Last night outside the Democrat National Convention, at least 4 were handcuffed as protesters rallied outside the Israeli consulate. The protest started around 7 p.m. in the 500 block of West Madison, ending up between Canal and Clinton before being hemmed in by Chicago police and other officers in riot gear. Illinois throwing its backing last night behind Kamala Harris. During last night's ceremonial roll call, Governor Pritzker formally pledged the state's delegates. The VP will accept her nomination in a speech later on tonight. 1 man is dead, 5 others are wounded following a shooting in Chicago's Back of the Yards neighborhood. A Chicago murder suspect is in custody, all following a standoff in the northwest suburbs. Osceola Little led police on a chase that ended near Route 14 and Pepper Road in Lake Barrington. With a barricade situation, that suspect and his girlfriend later taken into custody. Cody Bellinger, a go-ahead 2-run double in the 5th. Cubs beat the Tigers 3-1, while the White Sox lost to the Giants 4-1. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk knows who's running this country.
Elon Musk and Donald Trump do not need to be in this fight. But there's something very special, and they know that the current rotten to the core ruling class must be removed, that they are poisoning this country, from the media to the DC decision makers to the big tech oligarchs.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Honey, have you seen our roof after that storm last night? I think we need to call someone.
Don't worry, we got the shingle company on speed dial.
But I keep hearing in the news recently how dangerous sloped roofs can be. Our home in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point.
Well, the shingle company isn't afraid of any sloped roofs. Their safety record is spotless, their warranty unmatched, and they offer a low-price apples-to-apples guarantee. Besides, it costs us nothing to get a quote.
The Shingle Company, your local roofing experts who handle even the steepest of slopes with ease. Whether it's residential or commercial roofing, they've got you covered. With 3 generations of building experience, they're also experts in siding, gutters, windows, and more.
I am so glad we called them, and I can't believe our insurance covered practically the whole project.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Plus, I love that they're proud supporters of AM 560.
Visit the Shingle Company today at shingleco.com. Again, that's shingleco.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:39, a check on the roads this morning. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Lowe's. Save big money every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 1 pallet or more of select shingles because Lowe's knows pros. While supplies last, discount taken at time of purchase. See a sales associate for details. In Westmont this morning, Ogden Avenue, now westbound between Oakwood and Downers, shut down because of a fire at Westmont Manor Health and Rehabilitation and Nursing Home. Now, we see lots of equipment leaving that scene, but we'll keep our eyes on that for you right now. Jane Addams, vehicle fire, left lane blocked westbound at Route 47. Bishop Ford, fatal accident investigation continues from earlier this morning. It's entirely shut down on the outbound side. All traffic diverted off at 130th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Partly sunny and nice today, high 77. Clear and 58 overnight. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high 81. Partly cloudy and 57 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy here talking about the primetime speeches at the new Bolshevik Party confab last night from the Obamas, Team Obama, in the house with...
Hey, tag team.
With Dog. Dog was there.
No, you darn right, Dog was there.
Just resetting. This is how Michelle kicked off her remarks.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
And then she whipped her speech out.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
She whipped her speech out. What were you two thinking?
I mean...
It's weird. Just got her speech out so that she could read it.
I think she and somebody else has, you know what.
And then she provided the caricatures of the two candidates, obviously flacking for Kamala. Kamala is a middle-class bootstrapper, and Donald Trump is the beneficiary of the privilege of generational wealth.
Kamala has has shown her allegiance to this nation, not by spewing anger and bitterness, but by living a life of service and always pushing the doors of opportunity open to others. She
Willie Brown's
understands
door.
that most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth. If we bankrupt a business or choke in a crisis, we don't get a second, third, or fourth chance.
What if you bankrupt the
If
country?
things don't go our way, we don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No. We don't get to change the rules so we always win. If we
Changing
see
the
a mountain
rules
in
so
front of us, we don't expect there to be an escalator waiting to take us to the top.
Oh, my God.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. There it is, Trump, son of privilege, beneficiary of affirmative action, just a big crybaby. Kamala Harris, dedicated public servant, selfless. Other regarding servant leader, bootstrapper.
One point
Good
of
luck.
contention with that is he cheats to win. Who's cheating? Kamala Harris hasn't gotten one primary vote. You saw Biden was losing, so you dumped him, stabbed him in the back, and replaced him. That's called cheating because you're not following the rules. But somehow they make it legal.
Ralph and Rantoul, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning. Before the break, I think, Dan, you mentioned that Mike always seems angry, and Amy, I think you said he always looks like he wants to fight somebody. And I think the answer is too much testosterone, and she's not allowed to say drown without a moment of silence for their dead chef. And, I think that maybe on Friday morning, I'm going to look forward to the Friday morning rant around 8:30 from Kolchak, the Mike stalker, and maybe he can tie together Mike Obama, why shoelaces never break at the same time, and why some hard-boiled eggs are so easy to peel and some aren't, and he can tie that all together, and I know that my world will be right again.
I would be interested to hear that as well, actually.
Oh, that's beautiful.
What do you, Ralph, just out of curiosity, I mean, since you're focused on this issue, do you think that Michelle Obama's testosterone levels are higher or lower than that Algerian boxer that won gold?
Probably about the same.
Yeah.
Because if they have the same biological makeup, hey, while we're at it, maybe Kolchak, the Mike stalker on Friday, can bring in Joan Rivers' mysterious death. She called out Mike Obama about a month before she died.
Yeah, and also figure out where Doug's is.
Okay.
Well, he's
I'd
at
be
it.
more concerned about that. Yes.
Phil and Darian.
Yeah, hey, good morning, guys. So Michelle Obama if there's a mountain, our party doesn't expect there to be an escalator.
Yeah.
I mean, who is she kidding? There better be an escalator there, and guess what? The country's going to pay for it to be put there. And let me just say one other thing, okay? Non-related. I did learn one thing from Kamala. I will never call a black person an African-American ever again, because how do I know they're from Africa? Have a nice day, guys.
Thanks for the call, Phil.
One moment last night that really bothered me was when former President Obama made a small penis joke about Trump.
Oh, that's all right. I like penis jokes. That's fine. Mike in Kaukauna, Wisconsin.
They always make it hard for us.
Was having Mike's been on before. I just was having a bit of a Biden moment.
No, that's fine. It's cheese. It's bacteria, so
Yeah.
it does fumble the mind.
Yes, true.
First of all, I didn't have a chance to see Biden's speech on Monday night, and I'm wondering if you saw it. Was it open casket or not?
They wouldn't even let him deliver his own eulogy in prime time. They kept. I mean, they kept.
He didn't know it was in
they
prime time. What's the
screwed him.
difference?
It was midnight in New York. It's 12:30 in the morning by the time he was done.
Uh,
Nobody was watching it. They screwed him at the beginning of this, and they screwed him on the way out.
Barack remembered Joe. He eulogized him last night.
Joe and I come from different backgrounds, but we became brothers. And as we worked together for 8, sometimes pretty tough years, what I came to admire most about Joe wasn't just his smarts, his experience. It was his empathy and his decency. And his hard.
Yeah. He eulogized Joe in the same way that Cain remembered Abel, basically. But sure. Okay. Corey Woodlawn.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Michelle Obama talked about Donald Trump saying most of us don't have the opportunity to fail forward. Most of us don't have the media covering every lie. I mean, the things that they did under their administration, I'm still running from people that have a PMI on their property mortgage insurance for the life of their loans that they have FHA loans. And trying to get these people to reset now at higher interest rates is ridiculous. These guys have destroyed this economy. You can drive down Washington Street. You can drive down Madison Street and see that destruction. It's so visible, it's laughable.
Thanks for the call, Corey. Yeah, you can bankrupt a city, a state, a country, neighborhood, families, and fail forward into $100 million fortune the way that Obama's did. Generational wealth for their kids and their kids' kids, certainly. But, yeah, that's all supposed to be set aside as we listen to the same rap from the both of them that we've been hearing ever since they arrived on the scene. You know, in point of fact, this is 20 years worth of this hustle. And with respect to Barack in particular, I mean, he's such a cipher. He's such an intellectual lightweight. And I say again, if you read Michelle Obama's thesis from Princeton, which I did, she's an intellectual lightweight too. These are just race hustlers that speak with proper syntax, so we're all supposed to be impressed.
And they're good looking.
If you say so. But his speech last night had a lot of the same old no red, no blue America redux, which was always a lie. These are bitter partisans. One is the face guy. The other's an angry, ideological, behind-the-scenes person. I'm talking about Michelle, obviously. No red, no blue redux. You caught it if you listened to it when he talked about his relationship with Michelle Obama's mom, who passed recently, that she talked about. But I had a close relationship with my mother-in-law. She's from the South Side, went to Inglewood High School.
Never owned property.
She reminded me of my grandma in Kansas. That the whole thing. So you have the black lady from the South Side whose family I married into, and my white grandma in a little town in Kansas, and it's all the same. That's just red blue redux. It's a straight up hustle. And that was punctuated through his speech. And even Michelle got into it a little bit, which with her like riffs about whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or other, this is our time. What does that even mean? If I'm a Republican, I don't want any time with you. Joanne in Hoffman Estates.
Hi. For those of us who grew up in the Chicago area, I was trying to think of who Tim Walz reminded me of. And it has to be Bozo the Clown. His gestures.
Waving to the crowd like that and jumping up. Did you see last night in Milwaukee? Oh, my God, it was so embarrassing.
With the hands and the way he shovels her off on the stage. If he just had the white gloves and the red hair and the red nose, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
He seems like Tim Kaine to me, but a little more.
And Kamala's cookie.
Yeah.
Jordan Antioch.
Good morning. Yep, here's another case of keep talking. Just keep talking. Keep telling us exactly how you feel about us. When has Barack Obama ever gotten up in the morning and gone to work and done something he absolutely despised, but he had to because he knew he was going to have to bring home a wage for his family? other than living off the government. And you're going to talk to me about generational wealth and how I should feel guilty about I have no generational wealth. My father was a factory worker in the 80s when a lot of people might remember International Harvester, Huff Harvester up in Libertyville. The UAW stole them all out when they went to Komatsu, and they were left with no pension. So they were working 3 jobs for cash, and to avoid the cheese line, right? I was raised under that family. So when I had my opportunity, I'm making the sacrifice I'm making. Yeah, I'm union, and my wife's working her butt off, and we're trying to provide my son with generational wealth, the wealth that we didn't have to start out with. And why am I doing that? Because I want him to be ahead of those guys who didn't do crap their entire life, whose parents spent their money on $90,000 Jeeps and 80-inch screen. The same people that I won't pick up or I have to because their service is canceled because they can't pay an $18 garbage bill, but their garbage can is sitting next to a 104-inch TV, right, with a brand new car. Those are the people that I want my kid to be ahead of. So I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to work my butt off, save, put away for a Roth, put away in properties, put away in investments so that he can have that. And you're going to tell me that I should feel guilty about that? Why don't you kiss my ass? And why don't you just keep telling everybody how you feel about us? Barack Obama turned more union workers against the Democratic Party than he ever did to support him when he bailed out UAW and gave them 98% of their pay while they sat at home. He is the biggest. You made us look like handout takers. You made us look like freeloaders. Barack Obama is the single greatest catalyst for the switch from the union vote to go to Donald J. Trump. So you want to keep preaching that crap, and you want to keep telling me how I should feel guilty about the sacrifices I've made in my life to give my son a leg up and put him ahead of other kids? Go ahead. Keep preaching that crap, scumbag. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan. You
That's a
sound
good
like
riff.
Wonderful father.
Good riff there. Something else, Barack Obama, it's just all reheated rhetoric. It's just the same thing you've been hearing for 20 years, minor updates and adjustments.
We can secure our borders without tearing kids away from their parents.
Yeah, kids in cages. Get Michelle with her model and look and her hashtag campaign. Kids in cages. How about kids that are missing? The U.S. Department of Homeland Security Office of Inspector General, as of May of this year, ICE has not served notice or scheduled a court date for more than 291,000 unaccompanied children.
And what, like 32,000 showed up for their court dates?
291,000 unaccompanied children are missing, essentially. DHS, or at least DHS doesn't know where they are. And this is what the Inspector General's office says. Without an ability to monitor the location and status of unaccompanied children, ICE has no assurance unaccompanied children are safe from trafficking, exploitation, or forced labor. There's your sentimental barbarism in action. There's your empathy. They're so compassionate. They're so concerned. No kids in cages, no family separation, and so on and so forth. And you got 300,000 kids that are on the streets of America under who knows whose supervision doing who knows what.
And Biden and Harris let this happen by not shutting down the borders.
They're just the worst sort of flim-flam men and women, aren't they?
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Hey, my boy Dog Emhoff, listen up. Dan Proft here for Low T Center. If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, These could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is where I've gone the past several years for my check-ins. It's not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize treating low testosterone with customized therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for treatment. For established patients with stable T levels, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored self-inject treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Experience a luxurious summer when you visit Trump International Hotel and Towers, Chicago, a Forbes Travel Guide 5-star hotel. Take in stunning views of the Chicago skyline from the heart of the city, steps away from the iconic Magnificent Mile and the revitalized Riverwalk. Treat yourself to exquisite dining at Terra 16 Restaurant and Rebar Lounge, overlooking the Chicago River and Lake Michigan. Catch the Navy Pier fireworks display from Terra 16's patio on Wednesdays and Saturdays all summer long. Relax in immaculately designed suites that offer the utmost level of comfort. Refresh in the state-of-the-art spa featuring a 75-foot swimming pool, steam and sauna rooms, relaxation lounge, and more. The Trump Hotel Chicago offers sophistication and elegance to downtown Chicago and is a convenient travel destination for your summer getaway. Simply visit Trump Chicago online to make your reservations today and search offers to find the never settle summer stay. Book today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, we'll talk to the sheriff of Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police, who is a Democrat, supporting Harris and Walz. Can't wait to
This'll be
find
fun.
out why. 7:07.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
An escaped inmate is barricaded now inside a Chicago restaurant. A Chicago murder suspect is in custody. That after a Barrington standoff. Protesters clash with police outside the Israeli consulate, and a majority of the starters won't play in the Bears' preseason finale tomorrow. Baseball last night, Cubs win, and they cut their closer. The White Sox go quiet against the Giants. WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
A former president stumps for perhaps the next one. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I am feeling hopeful.
Barack Obama in the Democratic spotlight in Chicago.
This convention has always been pretty good to kids with funny names who believe in a country where anything is possible.
Backing Vice President Kamala Harris, saying we don't need 4 more years of Trump bluster and chaos.
We have seen that movie before, and we all know that the sequel is usually worse.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama also took the DNC stage.
Something wonderfully magical is in the air, isn't it?
Saying that feeling is hope, making a comeback. Now, Vice President Harris was not there, but did address the convention remotely from a rally in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, after a ceremonial roll call for her nomination, touting
a future for freedom, opportunity of optimism and faith.
Former President Trump campaigned in Howell, Michigan.
The border czar, Kamala Harris, has allowed hordes of illegal alien criminals to literally stampede into our country. We're going to end that on day one. We're going to close our border. We're going to get all of the bad ones out.
Today, he and running mate J.D. Vance will go to another battleground state, North Carolina. Now, the former president could get a boost from an endorsement. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s running mate, Nicole Shanahan, tells Fox the Independent is considering dropping out and backing Trump.
I have to say there's only one party that has obstructed a fair election for us. And unfortunately, it was the Democratic Party. They've done everything they can, including creating PACs to prevent us from being able to have ballot access.
Speaking of ballots, Arizona Supreme Court and Montana's Secretary of State have approved abortion questions for voters in November. It would enshrine rights in both states' constitutions until a fetus could live outside the womb about 24 weeks into a pregnancy. America's listening to Fox News.
57 degrees, sunshine at 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. An escaped inmate from Mississippi barricaded inside a restaurant on Chicago's west side. Marshals Service says Joshua Zimmerman is wanted for attempted murder and armed robbery holed up by himself in a restaurant in the 2300 block of West Madison, surrounded by marshals and the FBI. During the DNC rally at the United Center last night, protesters rallied outside the Israeli consulate. Protest was led by pro-Palestinian groups, started at 7 p.m. Around 150 people showed up, chanting and marching. They were hemmed in between Canal and Clinton by Chicago police and other officers in riot gear. Some Chicago firefighters protested Tuesday afternoon on the Near West Side. They've been without a contract for over 1,100 days. Union President Patrick Cleary.
There's one job that's not going to be done, basically, and then as I'm running it, I have to figure out who can fill in for that. Do I take another guy off a different rig? Do I request another rig to come in? But that all takes time. You should have your manpower there immediately.
In other news this morning, one man is dead, 5 others badly hurt following a shooting in Chicago's Back of the Yards neighborhood. A Chicago murder suspect is in custody. It all follows a standoff in the northwest suburbs. Osceola Little was leading police on a chase that ended when he holed up inside a building near Route 14 and Pepper Road in Lake Barrington.
He then barricaded himself inside of the building, inside of an office that's in the building. We were able to develop a perimeter around this building to ensure it was sealed and that he was contained in this one specific area. We brought in negotiators that spoke to this individual for a lengthy period of time.
Lake County Sheriff Deputy Chief Chris Cavelli says eventually the suspect came out peacefully and another person believed to be the suspect's girlfriend was taken into custody. Cubs went on to beat the Tigers 3-1 last night at Wrigley Field. Cubs officially parting ways with their closer, the Northsiders releasing Hector Neris, while the White Sox lost to the Giants 4-1. The news a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees big tech at it again.
They're trying to erase that event completely from history. Google is trying to make it impossible to just search for the phrase assassination attempt of Trump. Why? Because this is who they have become.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT smart connected scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like climbing a mountain, but that mountain is also covered in banana peels. Then when something new gets added to your list, you're like, nope, I'm already climbing this huge, super slippery banana peel mountain of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to manage your policy on our mobile app. So climbing that banana peel mountain feels more like a leisurely stroll. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
7:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible to get 100% of your smile back, saving an average of 90%. Check if you qualify, AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Westmont. Structure fire has westbound Ogden Avenue between Oakwood and Downers Drive shut down. A fire at the Westmont Manor Health and Rehabilitation and Nursing Home in that area. Accident with injuries in Grundy County this morning, I-80 westbound right before Route 47. Vehicle fire cleared on the Jane Addams westbound at 47. The Bishop Ford remains shut down on the outbound side. You're diverted off at 130th due to a much earlier fatal accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Andy Robb.
Partly sunny, nice for today, high 77, clear tonight, low 58. Mostly sunny on Thursday, the high 81. Tomorrow night, low 60. Sunshine, patchy clouds on Friday, high 82. I'm Andy Robb on AM 560, The Answer.
57 at O'Hare, next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We talked about it the other week when it occurred. Talking about the protests that turned violent in Ferguson, Missouri, 10th anniversary of the burning down of Ferguson, Missouri, over the justified killing of Michael Brown. Not my opinion, the justice system's opinion in St. Louis. And, of course, at that when it turned ugly, the protest, you had an officer who suffered a traumatic brain injury after he was pushed to the ground by protesters.
He's still alive. He's had several brain surgeries, but he still remains in critical condition.
And the police chief there, Chief Doyle, had something to say on the topic.
This police department in 2014 had 3 African-American police officers. We have over 50% African-American police officers, 23% female representation on this police department. Like I mentioned before, maybe 4 officers from 2014 remain here at the Ferguson Police Department. This is a brand new police department. I don't know why the officers here, who wasn't even here in 2014, have to continue to suffer through this. It doesn't make any sense. This young officer, Travis Brown, got into this job because he was inspired to do the right thing. He wanted to be part of the change. He wanted to make an impact in our community. He's the type of officer that we want in our community. And what happens? He gets assaulted. I had to look his mother in the eye and tell her what happened to her son. I'm never gonna do that again. I promise you that. I'm never gonna do that again.
And yet, what do we hear from a certain segment of the political class about police? We hear it all the time from our mayor, BLM Brandon. What do we see on the streets of Chicago this week with the collection of leftist groups that have assembled to protest for everything under the sun? And it's starting to turn violent. It did yesterday. Thankfully, there's enough police presence that the worst instincts of those who have gathered in Chicago have been restrained. Police are doing a good job, which is interesting because they're doing a good job for a candidate for president
Who wants to defund them?
well, once upon a time, it was a conversation we wanted to have along with abolishing ICE, who also said, quote, I'm quoting, "It is outdated, wrong, and backward to think more police creates more safety." Well, I'll tell you what, been in Chicago for 5 decades, never seen more police on the streets of Chicago than we have for the DNC this year.
Not even NATO. A few
So
years back.
not even close. So I guess the DNC is an exception to the Kamala rule about more police. For more on this, pleased to be joined by Gary McFadden. He is the sheriff of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, currently serving his 43rd year in law enforcement, and he's in town for the convention. Sheriff McFadden, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you all so much for having me.
What about what Chief Doyle there in Ferguson, Missouri, had to say the other week? I'm sure you saw and read about what happened. Maybe you know Chief Doyle. I don't know. But just sort of his exasperation with police doing what police are supposed to do, which is protect and serve in Ferguson, and yet they are treated to what happened the other week.
Down with whoever becomes president and give them our priorities, and mental health in our community and the mental health of our officers are very important. And as you said, this is my 43rd year in law enforcement. I worked for Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for 30 years, and then an additional 7 years part-time, and now I have been with the sheriff's office for my second term. So I clearly understand his frustration, and I clearly understand my fellow law enforcement officers' frustration. And this is why we're here in Chicago, because we just want to make sure whoever is president hear our priorities and our concern as law enforcement officers.
What about the rhetoric that you hear from big city mayors like our very own Brandon Johnson and many others, and not to mention the presidential candidate and the party that is convening in Chicago this week that was aligned with the defund the police movement just a few years ago?
Why it is so important to actually have a conversation with us and not about us. And that's why we're here. We want to have these conversations. We want to invite them, we don't want to be invited to their table, although we will take that. But we want them we want to invite them to our table. Come to our facilities, come to our cities, and have these conversations. And we have to have conversations more than an hour. And that's why we think it's very important that we sit and have these conversations so you know where we're at.
Well, how do you begin the conversation? How do you start?
You said come in like anybody else. Let's talk. Invite us. Many, many, many things. We can talk about fentanyl. We can talk about the borders. We can talk about youth crime. We can talk about mental health. We can talk about these. So when you say, how do we start these conversations? Come together. It's not hard.
Well, but it's difficult if you don't have an honest broker on the other side of the table that you're speaking with. So they're this will not come as a shock to you. Oftentimes, politicians will say one thing to someone's face and something very else when it's a different constituency and a different interest that has to be served. And the reality is that the Democratic Party, particularly in big cities, but really generally speaking, over the last 4 years since the summer of 2020, has taken, at minimum, a pretty hostile rhetorical approach to law enforcement, and in many places, a pretty harsh and antagonistic policy approach to law enforcement.
That we understand who I am. I am a elected Democratic sheriff, and I am a black sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I clearly understand all of that. And again, what we need to do is don't talk about me, come and talk with me. And that's what we're asking them to do. And it's not going to settle in the first conversation. And this is why we're here. You know, I'm on the board of directors for the National Sheriff Association. That's every sheriff in America. That's 3,081 sheriffs. So we have to represent the people of our community, no matter who they are. And the politicians on both sides has to understand this. We are elected by the people just as they are in their communities. So we are the voice of the people, either Republican, Independent, or Democratic. And so we just have to have these conversations. We can have these panel discussions every day, but until we sit at the table in these closed door sessions and hash this out, and it takes more than one time. Visiting D.C. is an hour conversation. Come and visit my center, come and visit my city, and let's have these conversations without the cameras, without the press, and without the suit and tie. We have to get our hands dirty. Every politician make this image of rolling up their sleeves and giving a speech. Well, let's have these conversations one-on-one, and that's what we're looking for.
Well, so, I mean, well, how's it going? I mean, you said as you mentioned, as I mentioned, 43 years in law enforcement. You're affiliated with the Democrat Party, as a candidate, as a political office holder. And I mean, you're sounds like you're stipulating to my characterization of what has been going on, and you should, because it's accurate. But then what do you, how do you watch this play out? And, we need to sit around the table and have a conversation. You're dealing with people that are saying essentially to you by what they actually do. Forget what they say. Watch what people do. What they actually do is say, well, I'll pay lip service to your face, but there are constituencies to me that are more important than law enforcement, and frankly, more important than the rule of law. And that's what big city prosecutors like Kim Foxx and Larry Krasner and many others have been saying, and that's what big city mayors and some national politicians have been literally saying, verbatim, like Kamala Harris.
Well, again, it takes conversation. It takes meeting and having a conversation. I've met with the Philadelphia DA. I've met with these people, and we have to get away. And here's what I'm going to say. I was elected by the people in Mecklenburg County, Charlotte, North Carolina, and I can tell you this. My election was supported by both parties, both financially and by their vote. So it may be a little different because I'm going to be consistent, and I'm going to be consistent, and I will be more consistent to have these conversations and correct these wrongs.
Well, I'm not surprised because, pretty much everybody except the ideologues, except some of these professional agitators on the streets of Chicago, wants law enforcement to provide for public safety and to solve crimes when they're committed, to hold people accountable. That's what everybody wants. I mean, it's not so long ago, like 4 years ago, that black residents of Minnesota had to sue their own state to get equal protection as police protection as guaranteed under the Constitution. So I mean that's what's happening in Tim Walz's state and that Jacob Fry guy in Minneapolis, and that's what's happening. That's been happening for years, and it's happening right up until a couple of weeks ago in Ferguson. And if not for overwhelming police presence and professionalism right now in Chicago, it'd be happening here too. And So I get, why you've had this career in law enforcement, and I get why both sides, or a lot of people on both sides, would support you. I guess what I don't get is when at some point you say this person is, or this group of people are just professionally antagonistic towards us, politically antagonistic towards us. They're dangerous. They are negatively impacting our ability to do what we promised to do. And we're going to call them out and not sort of sit at the table and let them shine us on.
We clearly understand that. Our position with the National Sheriff Association is to listen to our priorities. Whoever wants to do that, we're going to continue to protest our priorities in front of anyone's face. And that's what we have priorities. We're more than just the law enforcement inside of our cities now, and that's why we're here talking. We are now becoming the mental health hospitals inside our cities. And so these are the things that we still need to talk about. We're always going to have the Republicans and the Democrat having what somebody says and somebody says here. And we all understand that. We understand that we all have differences about how law enforcement should be, how January 6th was, how Ferguson was. We're going to always have these discussions. But where we're at with the National Sheriff Association, listen to our priorities. We have to speak for both sides because they are all our people in our cities.
Well, what about?
And that's why we're going to be consistent.
Okay, what about Kamala Harris? I mean, you know that she has supported defunding police in the past and abolishing ICE. Why are you still supporting her?
I said we supported any president who is coming into office. We have to still have these conversations. We have to have the conversation with Donald Trump. We have to have these conversations with Kamala Harris. We just have to have the conversation with whoever will be the president.
What do you say to people, and I'm sure you hear this too, who, well, first of all, who want to go into law enforcement but are being persuaded not to by families who have a history of being in law enforcement? People just have an outside view. I mean, we hear this all the time on this show. I don't know who would want to be a Chicago cop. And you see this in some of the recruitment numbers and the difficulty getting people to join the police forces in various cities and various states. What do you say to people that see the police, whether they have a history in law enforcement in their family or they're just, a citizen concerned about public safety in their community, that see the police as like a thankless job that I wouldn't want to have any part of?
Well, that is why we have one of our 2025 priorities is retention. That's why we have retention as one of our priorities, because we all on either side sometimes bash the police, no matter what you said. This is why because I've been in this profession for 43 years. I've heard both sides. So this is why it's so important for us to talk to whoever is the president about our 2025 priorities, and one of them is retention. We need that help to retain our officers in this profession.
He is Gary McFadden. He is the sheriff of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department in town for the convention. He's currently serving his 43rd year in law enforcement. Sheriff McFadden, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you all so much. God bless you.
Thanks. You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. It's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Roland's family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Roland's Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. visit RowlandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
All right, if you're like me, you're very active, whether you're coaching or running or playing pickleball or doing yoga or cycling. If you get injured, it is the worst. It stops you dead in your tracks and you're miserable. Whether you have pain from an injury or from arthritis, you should know that there's help out there without having surgery, without taking pain pills, without getting those goofy cortisone shots that eventually don't work. It's called QC Kinetics, and QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties. It revitalizes your joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or an injury, you need to know that there are other options. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain and enhance your joints and restore your mobility, get your life back. It'll give you long-term relief with no downtime. Now, the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with this regenerative, restorative cellular treatments for your achy joints. This is the future, folks, of medicine. So call for a free consultation. They'll walk you through the process, show you how it works, and then you can make your decision. The number to call, 312-809-5955. They have new locations, by the way, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Again, the number to call, 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Attention maintenance coordinators. Fans are a vital part of your business's building or factory. You've got to keep the air moving, but when they break down or need service, who can you call? Vans Industrial repairs all types of fans, from small wall fans to large air movers.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Fan repair is one of many services that Vans offers. If you have a fan with a damaged shaft, bearing, impeller, or housing, we can help. And if you need a new fan, we handle all major brands and can provide engineering assistance to properly size your new fan. Our crews can respond to your emergencies or routine maintenance and will have your fan back up and running fast. And when we're done repairing your fan, we can also dynamically balance it so it runs smooth for years to come.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to get your fan repaired today. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web, vansindustrial.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, that whole riff that Michelle Obama went on about we don't get to change the rules and this and that. When we lose, we don't get second chances. We don't have privileges. You know, she's just, again, same rap for 2 decades. It never changes, even as the evidence to support her position wanes considerably. The Wall Street Journal editorial board had a good response in part to this. This is a polarized country in a polarized age, but Americans who will nonetheless vote for Trump aren't aching for dictatorship. They're looking at the alternative, and they don't see Democrats as sinless guardians of U.S. institutions. Wow. That's an understatement. When Democrats lose, the editorial goes on to say, they have a habit of escalating by demanding to change the rules and the filibuster, override voting laws in 50 states, abolish the Electoral College, restructure the Supreme Court, grant D.C. statehood to add two new safe Democrat Senate seats. Don't bet that a President Harris and a Democratic Congress wouldn't do it. Yeah. Just a little reminder about how often they go right for changing the rules, wiring the game more in their favor, given the opportunity. And remember, they also have this other habit where they will attempt to exercise power they do not legitimately have, while unfortunately Republicans often are afraid to exercise the power they do when they do enjoy some of the some control over the levers of power. But just a little reminder when you hear the sort of rap repeated, because you will hear it repeated, that you heard last night from Team Obama.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk more about, still haven't settled on it USSRnomics, communism,
Communalism? That doesn't.
communalism. Anyway, we'll talk about price controls and commonomics. Maybe that's it.
There you go.
At 7:37 with Steve Moore.
Flew off your tongue. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:32, 57 degrees. Day 3 of the DNC. Fox's Griff Jenkins is near the United Center this morning.
Day 3 kicks off soon, and former President Bill Clinton will take the stage. But it was all about the Obamas last night. Former First Lady Michelle Obama saying hope is making a comeback, throwing her support behind VP Harris, who was noticeably absent. Tonight, we'll hear from another person viewed as playing a role in pushing Biden out. Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi takes the stage. Bill Clinton takes the stage. We're also watching to see if Harris will be in attendance there.
Vice President Harris held a rally in Milwaukee with her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, yesterday.
Something's happening. For those of you in here and for the young folks in here, some of you, something's happening. And it all begins with Kamala Harris.
Donald Trump rallied in Michigan yesterday.
Every auto worker here will be out of a job within 3 years if I'm not elected. Every auto worker in the state, they're all going to be made in China. They're going to an all-electric policy. Well, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any country in the world, but we don't have for what you need for an electric car. But China does.
Speeches from former President Bill Clinton, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi here in Chicago tonight. Around the world, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is leaving the Middle East without a Gaza ceasefire deal for Hamas to release its hostages. Israel says they recovered the bodies of 6 hostages dead in Gaza yesterday. Russia is filing a complaint with the U.S. over American reporters entering Russia alongside Ukrainian troops. Reporters from CNN and The Washington Post, along with others, have been in Russian towns currently under Ukrainian occupation. Moscow says the reporters are crossing illegally. An escaped inmate from Mississippi remains barricaded inside of a restaurant on Chicago's Near West Side. The Marshals Service says Joshua Zimmerman is wanted for attempted murder and armed robbery. He escaped from the DeSoto County Circuit Court building in Mississippi on June 14. Some Chicago firefighters protested Tuesday afternoon on the Near West Side. They've been working without a contract for years. The union applied for a permit to protest during the DNC, but says their request was denied twice. One man is dead. 5 others are wounded following a shooting in Chicago's Back of the Yards neighborhood. Police say 2 fired shots at a group of people last night in the 5100 block of South Ashland Avenue. And a Chicago murder suspect is in custody following a standoff in the northwest suburbs. Osceola Little led police on a chase that ended with a barricade situation inside of an industrial building near Route 14 and Pepper Road in Lake Barrington. Cubs beat the Tigers 3-1. White Sox lost to the Giants 4-1 in San Francisco. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder does some quick math.
8 to 10 million illegal aliens in the country, some number, are here for bad purposes. Let's assume for a moment, do the lower number, 8 million. Let's assume for sake of argument, 1/2 of 1% are bad guys. Do the math. That's 40,000 bad guys in the country.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine.
I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it.
Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
So if you have chronic pain from arthritis and you want to avoid drugs and surgery, call the experts in this revolutionary field, QC Kinetics.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
7:39. Let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Bishop Ford outbound remains shut down at 130th, and all traffic diverted off there due to a much earlier fatal crash. Dan Ryan in 18 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Jane Addams, eastbound, you're slow between Meacham and Route 53. Delays on I-80, accident left lane blocked westbound right before Route 47. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Partly sunny and nice, a high of 77. 57 and partly cloudy right now. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, we had, I guess, what passes for a treatise in New Bolshevik economics at last night's convention. How could you not when you've got one of the intellectual leaders of said New Bolshevik Party, Comrade Bernie, on the stage, complaining about, ironically, didn't quite put it this way, but it's the truth, complaining about what his policies and the support of said policies by this administration have wrought.
Because too many of our fellow Americans are struggling every day to just get by, to put food on the table, to pay the rent, and to get the health care they need. My fellow Americans, when 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck, the top 1% have never, ever had it so good.
So good. So good.
Yeah. Well, let's check in with Steve Moore about that. Steve Moore, economist, author of Govzilla. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. Well, yeah, I think Bernie has it right.
Well, that's why, and that's why his one of his policy partners, Kamala, has to impose price controls on big grocery and provide a little bit of a stipend for would-be home buyers.
Yeah. So here's the simple statistic that people have to keep in mind, that, whether you like Donald Trump or not, when he was president, the average middle-income family gained about $5,500 in income. That's the median family, the people just in the middle. So the middle class did really well. Under Biden and Kamala Harris, the average family, according to the Census Bureau data, has lost $2,100. In other words, the average family is poorer today, as Bernie Sanders was saying, than they were 4 years ago. And so you really want 4 more years of this, folks? Because you're going to get it.
Well,
but last night in Milwaukee, she promised, first thing she said, that she's going to work on inflation day one.
I know. She's got a great plan. Now, I was on CNBC a couple of days ago with discussing this very issue of how Kamala has a secret plan to deal with inflation, but now we know what it is. She is going to impose across-the-board price controls. And the woman that I was debating on the CNBC, who's very close to Biden, said, well, our plan is, guys, I'm not making this up. Dan and Amy, I'm not making this up. She said, we're going to have grocery store police that are going to go down the aisles and make sure that they're not raising their prices and price gouging. So, they're gonna, because that's not fair to raise your prices. I mean, people are struggling out there. This is
what kind of profit do grocery stores make? Isn't it like 1.5%?
What's that?
Well, so what are the profits of grocery stores?
Oh yeah, exactly. Great point. So these margins for grocery stores range from 1.5% to 3%. Now, we're talking about the Safeways and the Giants and the 7-Elevens and the mini marts and stuff like that. I don't even know how they stay in business. I don't even know how they stay in business with margins that small. The other thing is, if you look at the consumer price index, how much prices have gone up at the retail level. They've gone up about 19.6%. Dan, do you know how much producer prices have gone up?
Tell me.
19.6%. So
makes
the
sense.
Producers, I mean, this is just, if you're, let's say you run a store and your costs go up by 19%, what do you have to do? You have to raise your prices by 19%. That's not price gouging. That's a result of federal policies that have created more dollars and less goods, and prices go up. And I'm old enough to remember the 1970s. I remember in 1971, I was 11 years old, listened to Richard Nixon give this famous speech where he said, and we're going to make it illegal for businesses to raise their prices, and we're going to make it illegal for wages to change. Everything's just going to stay exactly as it is. And then we're going to put that in place for, I think it was 90 days. And then when the 90 days are over, then they can do it. And guess what happened? As soon as the 90 days were over, the prices just went through the roof again. I mean, there is stupidity out there. Anybody, I don't usually say this, but anybody who actually thinks that price controls are the solution to our inflation problem are idiots. And
well, now you're calling the journalists at Axios idiots, because I'm reading their response to this radical capitalism that you're talking about without price controls. If banning price gouging is communist, the U.S. went Marxist long ago, because, Stephen Moore, 38 states, including the most populous like Texas, California, New York, prohibit companies from jacking up prices during emergency. Think of bans on selling $10 bottles of water after major hurricane, for example. The laws are triggered by an event, a time when a governor or federal government has declared an emergency. Price hikes for other goods above a certain threshold. So, I mean, if we can set prices for gas and water in those circumstances, why not in these exigent circumstances where people are having a hard time affording groceries, Stephen Moore, you heartless bastard?
Yeah, well, that's because I'm a greedy capitalist.
Right.
You know that. You've known me a long time. I'm greedy. These are stupid laws that even some red states, you're right, even red states, you can't raise the price of gasoline or water during an emergency. Well, guess what? That means gasoline and water aren't available during the emergency because that's why you have prices. You know, they match supply and demand. These people don't even understand the law of supply and demand. They think profits are a dirty word. They really do. Those greedy companies trying to make a profit. I want to make 2 points about this. Number one, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and all the people in the White House and all the economic advisors for Kamala Harris, with a few exceptions, have never made a profit in their whole life. It's not so easy to make a profit. I know a lot of people listening to this show are people who run small businesses. It's not so easy. If it were so easy, let's see them do it before they degrade the idea of profit. Number two, you can only make a profit when you're providing people with something that they want. And if you don't have profits, you don't have businesses. And if you don't have businesses, you don't have workers. And if you don't have workers, you don't have jobs. So why is it so hard for these people to connect the dots?
Well, I think I'm not. I mean, some are just, nitwits, and some have ulterior motives. Something else, though, too, to stick it to the rich, and this is something obviously Comrade Bernie would be on board for. Probably Dog Emhoff would be on board for this too. Bump the corporate tax back up to 28%. Bump the capital gains up to 44.6%.
Yeah.
And throw in a 25% tax on unrealized gains, which is my favorite. Those are some of the other features of Commonomics.
Yeah, that's going to really work. So, that, of course, if you raise the tax on something, you get less of it. So we're going to get less investment, less businesses, less hiring. That's really going to work. And for the first time in history, I don't think we've ever done this. We're going to tax an unrealized capital gain. And for people who don't, know what that exactly means, it means that if you buy, let's say you're an Iowa farmer and you bought a farm, let's say 20 years ago for $250,000, but now let's say the farm is worth, let's say it's worth $3 million now. You're going to have to pay a 35 or 40% tax on that $2.5 million appreciation in the farm value. Now, Dan, where's the farmer going to get the money to pay the tax? They still own the farm. They don't have that money. Literally, I'm not being figurative. I'm being literal here. The people will literally have to sell the farm to pay the tax. Or same thing with a share of stock. I bought NVIDIA stock. I'm boasting here because we bought NVIDIA stock about a year and a half ago. One of the few investments I've made in my life that's made a lot of money.
Did Pelosi tip you off to that?
Yeah, exactly. She tipped me off. But my point is, so we made a nice gain. We probably made $250,000 on that one stock. As I said, it's the one stock that I bought that's really paid off. The government would say, hey, you have to pay a tax on that. Well, we still own it. Yeah. We don't have any cash to pay that.
And what about unrealized losses? Like if you own a home in Illinois, are those?
You don't get that money back.
No, of course not, because they still need to extract the property tax. They still need to diminish the value of that property that much more in Illinois. Of course, that's how it works.
So, yeah, but now I know we're out of time. I want to make a fourth point. I was in the great city of Chicago on Monday, on Monday, and I was downtown by the Magnificent Mile, and it was beautiful day, and I have to tell you, there must have been, I don't know what the official number is, but I have never seen so many police in my whole life. I mean, there must have been 10,000, 20,000, I don't even know the number, but you couldn't even, every single street corner, there were 6 squad cars, 10 police, some of them with rifles, and so the image they're creating is like, oh my God, this is the cleanest and safest city in the world. I mean, of course, everyone knows as soon as the Democrats leave town,
Oh,
that,
yeah.
The ENC, it's going to be back
The
to
illegals will come back out. The homeless people will flood out of that hotel they have them penned up on Chestnut. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And I
and-
want to see some of these. I want to see some of these black preachers say, "Hey, wait a minute! If you could keep the city safe when the Democrats are here, why can't you do it all the time?"
But there's still shootings. I mean, we had 23 shot. Well, it was actually 25. And 5 killed over the weekend, and the shootings aren't going to stop.
but Amy, that's just in the neighborhoods they don't really care about.
No.
Yeah, like where Brandon Johnson lives. Yeah.
Where I live.
Exactly.
Stephen Moore, economist, Govzilla author. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, have a great week. Take care.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you a driver of a Ford PowerStroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford PowerStroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford PowerStroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit remkesgarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
If you have high blood pressure, you have the #1 risk factor for mortality.
Don't be a walking time bomb. Make this change and watch your blood pressure drop.
Order a 120 Life today.
Yes, 120 Life is an amazing blend of superfood juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure.
It's been endorsed by thousands of health professionals and doesn't have the side effects of medication.
It's up to you to control your blood pressure, not Big Pharma.
Seriously, 120 Life could be the natural game changer in your life. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. You've got nothing to lose but your high blood pressure.
Go to 120life.com and use promo code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
120 Life is so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in just 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied.
Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. From pomegranates to cranberries, it's the delicious way to lower your blood pressure. It really works.
Go to 120life.com now. Use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
3 reasons I ditched my old school deodorant and made the switch to Lumi Whole Body Deodorant for pits, privates, and beyond. First, Lumi is crazy effective. It controls odor in a new way and keeps me fresher longer. Second, it's a whole body deodorant that works on every nook and cranny. You know, the ones we all have. My pits, even feet, use it anywhere. Third, Lumi was created by an OBGYN. I don't know about you, but knowing Lumi was formulated by an OBGYN who knows all about safety below the belt is super reassuring. Experience a new way to control odor longer that works everywhere. There's a special offer for listeners. Go to LumiDeodorant.com and use code WORKS and get 15% off your first purchase with code WORKS. Like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code WORKS for 15% off your first purchase. Love it, or return it for free. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code WORKS to save 15% today.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at CrosscomInc.com. That's CrosscomInc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
AM 560, The Answer.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
There's a phenomenon happening in the dating apps, I understand.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not on them because I read this in the Wall Street Journal. Maybe it's not a phenomenon, but it's increasing in its prevalence. Alexander Marks is a lawyer who works in public education, lives in Vegas. He was flummoxed when potential dates on matchmaking apps messaged to ask him about his...
Not about his wealth, about his shoe size.
credit score.
Oh, about his credit score.
Credit score. This is becoming something that's a bit of a tell. I mean, it's not, you're not necessarily giving your net worth, but are you?
Yeah, but
at least you're paying your bills.
Are you paying your bills on
and
time?
are you,
Yeah.
and are you,
frivolous spending, and not,
Yeah, are you discharging debt or debt-free and paying bills right? Survey by the personal finance company Credit Karma found 2/3 of Americans say it's important that their partner has a good credit score, and the other 1/3 hate their money. Half of those who use the dating app are open to using one, wish the apps could filter by financial status, according to a survey. Another personal finance company temporarily set up a dating app this year for people with a credit score of 675 or higher.
Ooh, 670. I would not look at anybody with 675.
The company said the app attracted about 18,000 users in the 6 months it was operating. People say you're a gold digger, said one chick, but it's not about that. It's about knowing you're going to not be supporting someone. Is that sort of a backdoor definition of gold digger?
No, that just means if you're responsible and paying your bills on time. Has nothing to do with if you're
What,
gold digger.
Wait, what would your threshold be?
I don't.
Did you say 675 or better?
No. I'm a 800 and up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well,
what's your credit score? My Uber rating's bad, but because of my children. But my credit score is I'm in the 800s. What do you got?
Well, that's because you're on welfare.
No, I pay my bills. I live in paycheck to paycheck right now.
So you know what Bernie's talking about.
I know what Bernie's talking. I didn't have this first time since 1996. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and not in part. And I'm not doing woe is me bull jive here. In parts because I don't have child support and I have to pay college costs.
Well, you also have that $30,000 hair and makeup budget like Brandon Johnson.
Right. No, I cut back. I don't do my nails anymore. I don't do my toes. I don't do any of that. Ladies got to cut back.
What
have
happened?
you cut back on?
Nothing. What happened to all your money?
I have some lost suit things.
All right.
Not lost allegations that are not true.
In the next hour, we're going to do a little telethon to raise money for Amy to make sure she's not wandering the streets.
I could dumpster dive. That is a thing now.
Look.
Oh, my God. I'm kidding.
808. Well, you don't need it. You get the welfare cards from CPS. Just continue to tell them the kids are still in school. They won't know the difference. 808, Susan Crabtree, RealClearPolitics.com.
It's now 8 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
Countering the message coming out of the Democratic Convention. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
It's clearly about their hatred of Donald Trump more than their love for America.
The former president's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance. They'll be together in North Carolina today as the Republican ticket continues to go to battleground states during the convention. And Vance also tells Fox.
Political consultants assume that Americans are dumb. I assume that Americans are smart and that if you level with them about the ways in which Kamala Harris failed and Donald Trump succeeded, that's the best way to earn their trust and to get Donald Trump back in the White House.
Tonight, Vice President Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, will accept the nomination with a convention speech. They rallied together last night in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
This is a people-powered campaign. And together, we will chart a new way forward.
She did address the convention remotely after a ceremonial nomination roll call. In Chicago, the Obamas were in the spotlight.
America, hope is making a comeback.
Kamala Harris won't be focused on her problems. She'll be focused on yours.
Former First Lady Michelle and former President Barack Obama, who told the convention we can't afford 4 more Trump years of bluster.
It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala.
The pro-Palestinian demonstrations continue near the Democratic Convention site.
More than 70 arrests overnight out in front of the Israeli consulate. These were protesters who were clearly looking for a fight. Most of them were dressed in black. They had masks over their heads. They burned the U.S. flag. They spray painted directly on police cars symbols of anarchy.
Fox's Steve Harrigan in Chicago. Another commercial ship has been attacked in the Red Sea, hit with projectiles, damaged, believed to be targeted by Iran-backed Houthi militants from Yemen who've been disrupting shipping in the region for months. America's listening to Fox News.
57 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. An escape inmate from Mississippi barricaded this morning inside of a restaurant on Chicago's Near West Side. We're understanding that barricade situation may be over soon. The Marshal's Service says Joshua Zimmerman is wanted for attempted murder and armed robbery after escaping from the DeSoto County Circuit Court building in Mississippi back on June 14. At least 4 people were handcuffed as protesters rallied outside of a building that houses the Israeli consulate after prompting confrontations with police last night. Illinois throwing its support behind Vice President Kamala Harris during last night's ceremonial roll call at the United Center. Illinois Democrats continue to be pressed on why Kamala Harris and not President Joe Biden. As Tuesday, Illinois Senate President Don Harmon says it's simple to him.
President Biden did a brave, courageous, and patriotic thing and passed the torch to a new generation. And we're here to support the new ticket, and we're grateful for his service and for his sacrifice.
In other news this morning, a man dead, 5 others wounded following a shooting in Chicago's Back of the Yards neighborhood last night. And a Chicago murder suspect is in custody following a standoff in the northwest suburbs. Osceola Little led police on a chase that ended yesterday in an industrial building near Route 14 and Pepper Road in Lake Barrington.
He then barricaded himself inside of the building, inside of an office that's in the building. We were able to develop a perimeter around this building to ensure it was sealed and that he was contained in this one specific area. We brought in negotiators that spoke to this individual for a lengthy period of time.
Lake County Sheriff Deputy Chris Cavelli went on to say another person believed to be the suspect's girlfriend was also taken into custody. Cubs beat the Tigers. White Sox lost to the Giants. The news, a service of Valdecast Windows. If you're a discerning homeowner looking for high-quality, professional-level window replacement service, visit Valdecast.com and contact them today for 50% off installation now through September 2nd. AM 560 news time is 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Target shares are up 13%. Target lowered prices and sales jumped 2%. The retailer's earnings and revenue top forecasts for the recent quarter. Though it is cautious about sales for the rest of the year, it's upbeat about this year's earnings. Target says shoppers remain focused on value, though they were spending more on non-food items, including clothing. It's a different story at Macy's, which just lowered its sales forecast for the year. Macy's earnings came in better than predicted, though its revenue was disappointing. Macy's says it delivered strong earnings in a challenging consumer environment. Macy's revealed earlier this year that it will close about 150 stores and will focus on its remaining 350. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
The two things that hit every family's budget the hardest are the price of gas and the price of groceries. And for the past few years, we've all been feeling that pain. That's why AM 560 wants to help fill your gas tank and your pantry. It's our gas and groceries giveaway contest. You could win up to $10,000 in gift cards for gas and groceries. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/contest. That's 560theanswer.com/contest.
This is David Hochberg with an emergency mortgage alert.
After 2 excruciatingly painful years, mortgage rates are dropping, and your current lender is going to be hounding you to refinance with them. Listen to what Rocket Mortgage tried pulling on Cara in Romeoville. Last July, Rocket charged Cara over 10 G's in closing costs to refinance, which is disgusting. This July, Rocket Mortgage tried charging her over $9,000 to refinance again. Upon her father's recommendation, Cara contacted me, and I exposed their game of offering low rates and charging Cara excessive closing costs. Cara canceled her loan with Rocket Mortgage and will be refinancing with Team Hochberg when it's in her financial best interest. If you want to work with a lender who'll always look out for your financial best interest, call Team Hochberg now, 855-563-2843, or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843, or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like climbing a mountain, but that mountain is also covered in banana peels. Then when something new gets added to your list, you're like, nope, I'm already climbing this huge super slippery banana peel mountain of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to manage your policy on our mobile app, so climbing that banana peel mountain feels more like a leisurely stroll. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
8:08 and a check of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. This update is service of the Shingle Company. We've all heard about the dangers of climbing sloped roofs lately. Well, you can rest easy with the pros at the Shingle Company. You're unafraid of sloped roof experts. ShingleCO.com and inquire about their low price guarantee. I-80 accident, left lane block right before Route 47, causing problems. Also problems on the Reagan I-88. 2 right lanes are blocked with an accident. It's on the eastbound side between Orchard Road to right before Winfield. Jane Addams commuters, you're delayed from Meacham all the way to Route 53 because of a very slow ramp to southbound 53. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Andy Robb.
Partly sunny, nice for today, high 77, clear tonight, low 58. Mostly sunny on Thursday, the high 81. Tomorrow night, low 60. Sunshine, patchy clouds on Friday, high 82. I'm Andy Robb on AM 560, The Answer.
57 and partly cloudy. Next news coming up at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You're thinking about the first couple of days of the DNC and Team Obama last night. All of the caterwauling and the criticism of Trump. Everything that's wrong, and they acknowledge a lot of things are wrong. Somehow the sole responsibility of Trump, who has been in the White House as a Republican for 4 of the last 16 years. So the last 16 years, Democrats have controlled the White House for 12 of them.
And how's that going?
But somehow all the things that Bernie Sanders was crapping about are Trump's fault. Interesting, too, if you look at, like, on Twitter and you see which parts of the speech that Comrade Bernie gave are getting sort of the most cuts and pastes and comments.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with economics. It's everything to do with him calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. It tells you how far afield the activists are from those swing voters in battleground states. And so you can look at all those battleground polls, but I would direct people's attention to one number. Now, this isn't the whole thing, and you've heard me talk about the need for Trump to make an overall sociocultural, to deliver an overall sociocultural message that ties everything up in a way that he hasn't so far. It can't just be one issue after the other, siloed and disconnected. But where Trump is versus Kamala in terms of the American public's confidence with respect to the economy, in other words, which candidate you trust more to improve conditions economically, Trump has a double-digit lead, and that's according to a relatively recent WAPO NBC poll. But you've seen it in others, too, when you start to get into the crosstabs and look at it. Double-digit lead on an issue that most voters say is their priority and something that Bernie Sanders hit upon, but the activists don't want to talk about for obvious reasons because it presents all these complications like, okay, well, who's been in office for the last 3.5 years and who's been in office for 12 of the last 16 years and whose policies have been followed. And like I said earlier, I'm a little perplexed. On the one hand, Biden's bust belongs on Mount Rushmore, and he's been a wildly successful president pursuing the policies of Bernie Sanders and the Socialist Spice Girls. On the other hand, he's turning around and bitching about 60% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck and people not being able to afford rent, groceries, and gas. So which is it? How do you square that circle? You can't. So instead of squaring that circle, you got Team Obama to run the game they've been running for 20 years, to project their con onto Trump's. All identitarian politics all the time. First, Michelle.
It's his same old con. His same old con. Doubling down on ugly, misogynistic, racist lies as a substitute for real ideas and solutions that will actually make people's lives better. Look, because cutting our health care, taking away our freedom to control our bodies, the freedom to become a mother through IVF like I did, those things are not going to improve the health outcomes of our wives, mothers, and daughters. Shutting down the Department of Education, banning our books, none of that will prepare our kids for the future. Demonizing our children for being who they are and loving who they love. Look, that doesn't make anybody's life better.
That's a lot of spaghetti against the wall to direct people's attention away from pocketbook issues, isn't it? Barack followed up. Tag team.
Knows it's easier to play on people's fears and cynicism, always has been. They will tell you that government is inherently corrupt, that sacrifice and generosity are for suckers.
Yeah, right. It's our values. Let's unify the country around our values. Okay. We're going to try it one more time, see if they can get away with it one more time.
And then tonight we get to hear President Clinton talk about how misogynistic Trump is, because that's not hypocritical at all.
For more on all this, please be joined by Susan Crabtree. She is the national political correspondent for RealClearPolitics.com. Susan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So before we begin, just because you've been doing such excellent reporting on the topic, any Secret Service problems at the DNC so far? Anybody needing to breastfeed or chest feed while on duty? Any such problems?
Not so far, but I do. The rank and file special agents and uniform division officers are a little upset that a woman named Delisa Walker Hall is here. She is the human capital coordinator for the Secret Service. I don't think that's her exact title, but she's a psychologist, and she's supposedly here to check on the Secret Service. That's what the spokesman told me. But there's some resentment that she's being ferried around to parties by a DS-14 driver. And a lot of a lot of these people are.
Was she the director of human capital? That's quite a title. are there people at the Secret Service, or are these droids? Anyway, that person is there to what? Make sure there are no Secret Service agents suffering from PTSD? What?
Yes, this is what I'm being told by the Secret Service. But the way it came to me was from sources on the ground who are resenting. They feel like she's just here to party, and she's a Kamala Harris supporter.
Oh, of course.
They can party together, get their drink on.
Mm-hmm.
And she was not at the RNC. Just 2 days, a day after, 48 hours after there was an assassination attempt on former President Trump, they did not have a mental health specialist doing welfare checks to the Secret Service at that convention, but they do have one at this convention.
Well, if she's too busy going from social event to social event, Brandon Johnson's got a team of people around him at all times, so he could give a recommendation. And Kim Cheadle, I know she's a friend of the regime too, and she's got some time on her hands now. She partying? Been seen?
I have not seen her here. We're going to have Ron Rowe, the acting director.
Oh.
He is going to make an appearance here. But I did report last week that Kimberly Cheadle does have her own Secret Service detail now.
And I bet it's all men, right?
People were making comments that they thought she should have the incompetent women Secret Service agents. Well, I don't know what the makeup is, but it is unprecedented for a former Secret Service director to get protection. I know she is receiving threats, so maybe it's warranted, and we certainly don't wish any ill will on anybody or that is facing threats to their lives. But it is taxpayer expense, and she's no longer employed by the federal government.
Well, speaking of threats, President Trump is going back out and outdoor campaigning today with J.D. Vance. They're going to talk about national security. But do you have any concerns at all? Do you think it's too soon since Butler, Pennsylvania?
Well, I am concerned about the state of the Secret Service because of everything that we know about their security lapses so far. I don't think that you can turn that ship around, that aircraft carrier around immediately. So, knowing what I know and dating back to the 12 years I've been covering the Secret Service, they're having manpower shortages. They have morale problems. I'm hearing that dozens of special agents have retired or left the service since the assassination attempt because morale is so low. So, yeah, I am worried. I am concerned.
Well, yeah, if I was Kim Cheadle, I might want to think about private security. I'm sure the taxpayers would be happy to foot the bill for that, too. The investigation, how's that going? Are we going to have some Republican senators chase Ron Rowe around the convention floor the way they had to chase Cheadle in Milwaukee, or do we have any progress on that investigation and any sort of indication that there'll be some disciplinary action taken against particular agents?
Yes, we do have some information. I will share some with you that I'm going to break. I was on the radio show, with our own radio show yesterday, so I did break it then, but I don't think it's been widely reported, and I'm going to be reporting on it. The Pittsburgh field office is on administrative leave. They're
the
not
whole
on
office?
The people that were involved in the Butler rally.
Oh, okay.
So there's a handful, and the lead agent that was in charge of the Secret Service security for that event. There's also a counterpart on the Donald Trump detail. So those people are on administrative leave, and that is a sign that they are likely going to take the fall, then not the Donald Trump detail, and including the lead site agent, who is a woman and who planned the whole security for the event. She was in charge, and she has been known, and I reported this, to post on social media, and she's under scrutiny for that, but she's still working every day for posting on social media from Mar-a-Lago and other Secret Service assignments.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Do we have her name?
I do have it. I am not sharing that because there has been several suicides, including one on that particular detail. So my boss and I have decided not to share the names of the rank and file. We have printed the names of the supervisors.
So you're saying one of the Secret Service agents that was at Butler, Pennsylvania, the day of the assassination attempt, took his or her own life?
No, that was last year.
Oh,
there was a suicide on that team last year.
So there's been some disciplinary action taken, but they're going to localize it rather than hold anybody sort of at corporate headquarters accountable. That's the read?
Yeah, that's the read that I'm getting from my sources. It's in the Secret Service community. And Ron Rowe, he was Cheadle's handpicked deputy. He gave a speech last week to the entire Secret Service, which I was able to hear the live stream of it from my sources. So I was tweeting about it in real time. And he was saying that this is a new era. We're going to turn. No, it's no longer going to be. I'm not following the mantra of do more with less. That was the big mantra. We don't have the budget, so we're going to do more with less. And Ron Rowe, after his address, which I thought was a pretty earnest pep talk and needed to be done, but the Secret Service agents and officers that I spoke to afterwards, you were this is your management style. You're talking about the problems that you were the number two when all of this happened. You were involved in not providing counter surveillance units.
He's pulling a Kamala Harris. I had nothing to do with that previous regime I was a part of.
Exactly. That's a really good analogy. Exactly. I mean, he has little choice, but the fact that he was appointed by Mayorkas is ridiculous. They should have chosen somebody either from outside the organization or somebody that wasn't Cheadle's handpicked right-hand man.
And the FBI investigation into the shooter, I mean, we learned things after the fact, like they had the body of the would-be assassin cremated, and they're as usual, they're lacking a bit in transparency, even internally, so things leak out about what they're actually doing, and it raises questions they won't answer. So just their handle on their responsibilities with respect to what happened in Butler.
I cannot believe that the FBI is the one that's, well, of course we're going to have a task force on the House side that's being set up, but the FBI was homing in on this Pakistani man that has ties with Iran and arrested him the day before the Butler rally. So the question in my mind is, did they tell the Secret Service that they were homing in on this man? And did the headquarters let the site agent and all the people planning the security for Butler know about that this was a high risk? Because Ron Rowe and then Director Cheadle, denied the amount of counter snipers that they wanted. They wanted 4 teams. They gave them 2 teams. If they had 4 teams, they would have had somebody on that rooftop.
Wait a second. Then didn't Ron Rowe lie when he testified before Congress? Because didn't he say that he had nothing to do with resource allocation decisions with respect to Butler or Trump generally?
Yes, he has said that repeatedly, but other whistleblowers have undermined those comments and saying that he was, of course, involved in these decisions. He was, of course, involved with these decisions. He used to be the director of the OPERA, it's called Protective Operations Division, before he was the deputy. So all of these decisions to treat Trump like a former president and not like he broke the mold of any protocol you would ever have, because he has these tens of thousands of people at his rallies. They were treating him like a former president, so he didn't get counter snipers up until this event. This is the first event where they did get counter snipers because of the Iranian threat. But why didn't they get the full package? That's what it's called. Why didn't they get the 4 counter snipers? Why didn't they get the counter surveillance units that roam around? They would have found, as soon as Crooks got that rangefinder out, they would have sent an investigative team over there, and they would have nabbed him.
Maybe the FBI tried to communicate with Secret Service, but their radios were not interoperable. Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, it is pretty unbelievable. That's it, the siloed communications. And Ron Rose said yet last week, I'm going to change that, and we're going to not start having drones. In fact, they already are using drones when they hadn't before. Regularly used drones, they only use tethered drones. I won't get into the technical details, but at permanent sites like Camp David and the White House. But they had the ability, and there were people within the Secret Service pushing for the use of drones for years, since 2016. So he was in on those decisions. He was the number two. You can't absolve him from the security decisions to deny Trump repeatedly over the course of 2 years more assets, security assets, and those counter snipers that would have been on that roof that day. So the eighth floor is the one that needs the cleaning up. It's really the leadership.
It's really something to behold. I mean, it literally is like what we talk about with big city mayors. Like you could put Brandon Johnson in pick a major city, another major city, put him in Philadelphia, and the Philadelphia mayor in Chicago, and Kim Foxx in L.A. and the L.A. prosecutor, and it wouldn't change anything. And I feel this is the same way about all these alphabet soup law enforcement agencies inside the federal government. You could put Cheeto LaRoe in FBI and Ray at Secret Service or Mayorkas at Secret Service and somebody else at DHS. I mean, it wouldn't change anything. They all operate the same way.
And that is why a Blue Ribbon Commission in 2015 said that somebody needs to be appointed from outside the agency, not people that you're cozy with, that presidents choose, the people that they trust, that they were cozy with on their detail, like in Kimberly Cheadle's case. Joe Biden chose her to be the director, and people were kind of like, why? She's not even that respected in the agency itself. And she was working for Pepsi at the time, which I'm told Joe Biden had a role in getting her that private security job as well. It was very lucrative. So you can't be doing this. Now Senator Grassley wants to have Congress appoint the director and have it go through the regular nominations process, but not the presidents choosing their friends that protected them and maybe even protected their family in the case of Hunter Biden. And the cocaine incident, we know Cheeto also wanted that cocaine destroyed.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is not a good idea to have your friends leading the agency that you're so cozy with.
I got a bunch of guys in Cicero that could do a better job providing security for these protectees than the Secret Service sounds like it's providing. But great reporting. Thank you for sharing that. Susan Crabtree just continues to be all over this. She is the national political correspondent for RealClearPolitics.com. Susan, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for your interest.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his two business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Bastuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With halfpriceschools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, halfpriceschools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality. And that can be the reality for you and your child too. Just go to halfpriceschools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, has Field Marshal Tim done it again? Offered another less than accurate depiction of his life and times. First National Guard, then coaching,
and now
with respect to his family. 8:38.
He's trying so hard to be loved. But now, let's go into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
It's 8:32. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will officially accept the Democrat nomination for vice president tonight, day 3 of the DNC here in Chicago. This morning, Chicago police now say more than 70 were arrested after protesters and police clashed as the Democrat National Convention protests continued. This after that large pro-Palestinian group walked into a large group of Chicago police last night as the group tried to rally outside of the Israeli consulate. Fighting broke out and a masked protester set fire to a half-American, half-Israeli flag. Donald Trump says he will now consider Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for a spot in his administration. Former president spoke with reporters during a campaign event in Michigan Tuesday. UAW leadership continued to try and hammer Donald Trump. Ohio Senator and Republican VP nominee J.D. Vance responded back in Wisconsin.
My message to Shawn Fain and any other leader of the labor movement would be, who is the campaign? Which campaign is actually going to protect the jobs of American workers, union and non-union alike? It's the campaign of Donald J. Trump. So sign up, get involved, and support the candidate that's actually going to protect your job.
The former president called for Fain to be fired during the Republican National Convention. The oldest known living person in the world is dead. Maria Brañas died in Spain on Monday, born in California in 1907. She was 117 at the time of her death. An escaped inmate from Mississippi was barricaded throughout the night inside of a restaurant on Chicago's Near West Side. U.S. Marshals Service now say Joshua Zimmerman has been taken into custody. He's wanted for attempted murder and armed robbery after he escaped from the DeSoto County Circuit Court building in Mississippi back on June 14. Some Chicago firefighters protested Tuesday afternoon on the Near West Side. They've been without a contract from the city of Chicago for over 1,100 days. Union President Patrick Cleary.
There's one job that's not going to be done, basically, and then as I'm running it, I have to figure out who can fill in for that. Do I take another guy off a different rig? Do I request another rig to come in? But that all takes time. You should have your manpower there immediately.
The union applied for a permit to protest during the DNC, but their request was denied twice. Cubs went deep with a Dansby Swanson home run to beat the Tigers 3-1. White Sox had just 3 hits and a loss to the Giants, 4-1. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com, overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees Harris stealing ideas.
Because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
Eliminate
taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
What's going to be next? She going to start wearing a red MAGA hat? We're witnessing one of the greatest con jobs in the history of the United States.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Don, can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Ugh, me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's SPECTRIOS.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba. Hey, let me tell you about our age analysis assessment. It takes just a few seconds to scan for those advanced glycated end products that cause premature aging. And then we'll briefly go over your results and give you a few things for you to do to improve. And then we'll retest you in about 60 days. And you'll pay our special low price for your first assessment, and I'll pay for your second one. That's right, your follow-up age analysis assessment is on me. And we're going to compare your biologic age with your chronologic age, and then we're going to help you determine if your biologic age is on par with your chronologic age. But you got to make that call today, not tomorrow, but today. It's our HealthQuest radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Second assessment free if you make that call right now, 800-794-1855. It's HealthQuest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11.
I'm embarrassed to say this. I've been using deodorant on my armpits for 30 years, and anytime I noticed odor anywhere else, I thought I needed another shower, I wasn't clean, or I felt like there was something wrong with me. And then my gynecologist told me about Lumi. It's a whole body deodorant that controls odor anywhere and everywhere on your body. Since Lumi, I never have to worry about body odor ever again, anywhere on my body. And that reassurance is worth every penny.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code SHOWER and get 15% off your first purchase with code SHOWER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER for 15% off your first purchase. With over 200,000 five-star reviews, I am so sure you're going to love it. Or return it for free with Lumi's 60-day money-back guarantee. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER to save 15% today.
8:39. Let's get an update on the roads. A service of Staples stores. With Staples hot deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back to school. Right now, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are just 50 cents each. Offer ends 8/24, limit 10. Save big on back to school at Staples. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, the Bishop Ford remains shut down. Outbound right at 130th, where you are diverted off because of an accident investigation. That crash occurred around 2 a.m. It was a fatal crash, and investigators remain on the scene. Tri-State jamming up northbound right at LaGrange Road. Reagan, you're jammed up eastbound from Route 31 to Winfield. Bad accident there. Both shoulders are blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Partly sunny and nice. High 77. Mostly sunny and 63. Your next news update at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So there was a lot of talk yesterday, actually the first 2 days of the new Bolshevik Party's confab in Chicago, about IVF, connecting that to the whole discussion of what they call reproductive rights. Most ironically, most of the speakers and the disposition of the party is to be pro-abortion. I know there's this organization called Democrats for Life, but you won't hear any of them being platformed at this convention this week in Chicago.
Even when Hawaii introduced themselves, for the rollout of the delegates, they said, "We are from Hawaii, the first state to legalize abortion." Woo! And everybody started cheering. They're like, "Yay, kill babies, yay."
And they're trying to draw attention away from their extremism on abortion. And point of fact,
oh, really?
It was just last week where Margaret Brennan of Face the Nation inadvertently, fact-checking J.D. Vance, inadvertently confirmed the extremism of Kamala Harris. Vance said that Trump is trying to find common ground on abortion. Meanwhile, you have Democrats who supported abortion right up until the moment and sometimes beyond the moment of birth, which is just sick stuff. Brennan said that that's not accurate, and Vance replied, "In fact, the Born Alive Act, multiple members of the current Democratic administration, including our VP, supported that legislation. They have supported taxpayer-funded abortions up to the moment of birth." And he accidentally said supported the Born Alive Act, which would prevent live birth abortions. But they didn't support it. They opposed the Born Alive Act, which is how extreme they are. And so it's hilarious because Brennan, fact-checking him, "We want to clarify what Senator Vance said about the Born Alive Survivors Protection Act and his claim Harris supported it. CBS News fact-check finds Harris voted against advancing the bill twice when she was a senator and previously called it extreme and a setback to reproductive rights in America. We found no evidence that anyone who currently serves in the Biden administration voted for it earlier." Exactly. Thank you, Margaret Brennan, you dum-dum. Right. J.D. Vance misspoke. They opposed it because they opposed even protections for children born and who survive a botched abortion. They are the Ralph Northam party. The child survives out of the womb, then we have a conversation. But we certainly offer no legal protection. That is their position. So they're trying to direct attention away from their radicalism, ideologically driven radicalism on this topic. Abortion is a sacrament to these people. I mean, for God's sakes, you have women dressing up as abortifacients walking down Michigan Avenue.
No, so embarrassing. I mean, can you disgrace yourself anymore than that?
So they're bringing up the issue of IVF because of a court ruling in Alabama several months back, created a firestorm, gave them opportunity to try to mau pro-lifers and the Republican Party. And, of course, there are a lot of squeamish Republicans who don't have the chops to defend themselves rhetorically and pivot and expose the radicalism that we just described. So they're somewhat successful. Michelle Obama mentioned IVF. But the question is, Tim Walz has been mentioning it on the campaign trail quite a bit.
He even cried one time during a campaign stop in, I think, Nevada, where he broke down.
Tim Walz in Philadelphia on the importance of IVF to him and his family.
Look, that includes IVF, and this gets personal for me and my family. When my wife and I decided to have children, we spent years going through infertility treatments. And I remember praying every night for a call for good news. The pit in my stomach when the phone rang, and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope.
Tim Walz in Wisconsin.
Some of you might have heard this. This is very personal for my wife and I. When Gwen and I decided to have children, we went through years of fertility treatments. And I remember each night praying that the call was going to come and it was going to be good news. The phone would ring, tenseness in my stomach, and then the agony when you heard the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our first child, our beautiful daughter, we named her Hope.
So that's the story, except that Mrs. Field Marshal Tim said that she did not use in vitro fertilization. It was not in vitro fertilization.
No, it was interuterine insemination, IUI.
Right. They're both assisted reproductive technologies. IUI is when sperm is ejected into the woman's uterus around the time of ovulation, while IVF entails the fertilization of an egg and sperm in a lab dish.
Right. It's an embryo that is created, and people spend tens of thousands of dollars for that. The IUI is, you don't pay a lot of money. It's not even close to what you do for IVF. And people who are going through this know the difference.
Well, that's the question is Tim Walz being purposefully misleading in this IVF story that he's been telling on the trail? And is this yet another example, like his misleading language about his coaching football, his misleading language, or worse, with respect to his service as a National Guardsman? Is this yet another example? Maybe if we didn't have the previous two examples, you wouldn't be so suspicious, but maybe Field Marshal Tim doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. Is this an important distinction? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
I mean, I understand why some men, people are passing off, well, he's a man, so he just doesn't get it. I'm not buying that. I mean, there's a big difference. So we might have some slow swimmers, and no guy wants to talk about that. So then they have you go in, and it's real simple what they have you do. And then when it's that time of the month, they put a syringe in your wife, and there you go. And you don't need to wait for the lab to call you or the doctor's office to call you. Take a pregnancy test. So that elaboration of like waiting by the phone only to hear again that the procedure didn't work. That to me is an embellishment, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean.
And if I'm wrong, call and talk to us. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. But they're using like he's just a dumb man and he can't figure it out.
I don't pretend to be a fertility expert, certainly, but it would seem like for something as serious as this, and something that he described, as you just heard him, waiting by the phone for the call with good news, that you would have some detailed knowledge of exactly what was going on. Even if you were a complete layman and you had no familiarity, it seemed like you would get familiar with what the medical treatment is pretty quickly, and that you would take an interest in it because, it pertains to the medical health of your wife, right? So I wonder if he does know, and because IUI doesn't have the same notoriety, the same recognition as IVF, in vitro fertilization, he's just using in vitro fertilization because it's politically easier to do it, even though it's not accurate. And if that's so, is that problematic? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. What do you say? You're a female, as far as I know.
Well, I know the difference. But I know people who've done both. Like they try the IUI first, and then if that doesn't work, then they do in vitro.
Yeah, okay, but that's not an issue because we already have his wife saying it was IUI.
Right.
So now that's...
Well, no, he's a phony. I mean, this is just another example of he's trying hard to be loved, trying hard to be accepted, trying hard to look like a victim, trying to be somebody, I'm just like you out there, you parents who've struggled with infertility.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Because people that have gone through IVF, they know that there's a big difference. And a big difference, too, when it comes to cost.
Right. I mean, this is not even a conversation about the morality of it, and people of different
it's about him.
Faith traditions will have different views on this, or the legality of it. It's just about whether or not he's on the level with anything he says, or everything has to be fabulized.
Yeah. He's a little Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I'm just like you. I suffered too.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, his best friend's going to be Corn Pop.
Right. this is all
Corn Pop's grandson.
playing the role of the affable sitcom dad doofus, and but at the end of it, I don't know very much. I'm not a very smart man, but I know what love is. I mean, that's essentially what this is. It's like, I'm not particularly bright, but I care a lot, and my heart's in the right place. It's all, a sentimental barbarian appealing to sentimental barbarians. That's what it feels like to me.
Where's that Jim Comer drop from yesterday?
Not the what?
Now you say what, Gwen?
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. It's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Roland's family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Roland's Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
A what now? Yeah, I know. Got a lot of explaining of things to do for Jim Comer there. Dan Proft here for Low T Center. If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait, find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. That's where I've been going for my reviews for several years. It's not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for treatment. For established patients with stable T levels, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored self-inject treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medication. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and healthcare, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855, or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Right now, Bettenhausen has 0% on new Jeeps during the Make This the Summer event at Bettenhausen Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, now open on 159th Street in Lockport. Celebrate summer with a new Jeep. Bettenhausen has 0% financing available on new Jeep Cherokees, new Jeep Wranglers, or new Jeep Compasses. Hurry into Bettenhausen in Lockport. Your best Jeep buying experience starts now at Bettenhausen. Showroom open 24/7 at cdjroflockport.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, let's take a couple calls on this IVF, IUI thing. Viv in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
This is a really easily explainable method for introducing the talking point about IVF into an easily explainable story. I never said we used IVF for hope. I just said we used IVF. We had the hope, and therefore ended up naming our blessed daughter Hope. Very easily explainable.
Well, how is it easily explainable if I didn't say he did say we used IVF, and the wife says I didn't use IVF. So
did he say they used it for hope? Did I miss that part?
Yeah, I mean, the implication was clear that they used IVF and they got the word, and so we named her Hope, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's the thread.
Well, that's kind of what I'm suggesting, actually, is the part you say implication. He implies it. Now, granted, I know he's a swindler.
Yeah.
I know what he's doing here. He's pulling the wool over people's eyes, but it's in an effort to be able to make that talking point about IVF, because we had so much of that, not a short time ago, right? A couple months ago.
Yeah.
It was in the news about the Republicans trying to block IVF.
Well, in Alabama, a court decision, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's really what it is. It's just a bifold way of folding the two into one little thing, easily explainable. Oh, I never said that. I implied it, but I didn't say it.
Yeah.
That's where I think it's going.
Well, I mean, that's what I was getting to. That's sort of his MO with coaching. He talks about, got together these coaches and we turned around this program. You were a volunteer linebackers coach. I mean, come on, at a high school team. I mean, come on. Like, does anybody know how high school football coaching works? Of course they do, which is why he's purposely obtuse about what he did or didn't do, and he sort of just takes credit for, he was John Wooden. We followed the pyramid of success, and we built a winning culture where now we win championships, even now long after I'm gone. You were nothing.
Everybody in Minnesota knows this was a lie, because when he ran for Congress and twice for governor, he told the same lie.
And he told the same
still sticking with it.
And he told the same lies and offered the same misdirection that, a reasonable person like those he served with the National Guard called BS on, because it is BS. Rob in Northfield.
That sounds like when Grandpa Joe drove an 18-wheeler.
Right, remember that? Mr. Fabulous. He was civil rights icon.
He don't need no CDL license, Rob.
He marched.
Wasting time talking about that IVF business. It was never a threat,
That's true.
Just arguing about it makes it sound like that we're somehow trying to come after IVF, but not the IUI.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Rob, but I think it's just more like using this for the illustrative purposes of a pattern of being a fork-tongued, sitcom dad doofus. Don't believe this fake that Tim Walz is, just as Kamala is. And by the way, to your point, it's never a threat. It's like J.D. Vance mentioned it. Trump has mentioned it too. Look, Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. It's a state issue. Hash it out in the states. California is going to be different than Texas. Illinois is going to be different than Florida. Mm-hmm. Hash out the state level. But there's no proposal or discussion or platform plank that talks about federal bans on this and that. It's just not happening. They're inventing these misdirections because they can't talk about things like the economy, the border, and so forth.
Well, that's what they were saying, too, that mobile mastectomy and Planned Parenthood unit. They're saying, they're going to take away on a federal level. And I said, no, he's not. If he was going to do that, he would have already done that. Remember, he was president for 4 years, but people seem to forget. All right, have a wonderful day. It's plenty of sunshine, another gorgeous one. Now it's 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
The convention in Chicago isn't a Harris Love Fest. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump's running mate J.D. Vance tells Fox it's a hate fest.
The thing that really unites the Democratic Party is not any shared vision for how they want to advance this country. It's their hatred of one person, a person who, by the way, took a bullet for this country just a few short weeks ago.
And Vance hopes more voters decide.
We have not had better lives under the policies of Democrat leadership, so we're willing to give the Republicans a chance.
He and the former president will campaign today in Asheboro, North Carolina, going to battleground states all week during the convention in Chicago, where former President Obama took the spotlight.
We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos.
Saying a Trump sequel would be worse.
I'm feeling fired up.
We'll hear from another former president, Bill Clinton, here tonight. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and other notable speakers inside a packed United Center in Chicago before a Democratic vice presidential nominee. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz takes the stage here tonight, giving his acceptance speech.
Fox's Jeff Manasso in Chicago, and near the convention site, more pro-Palestinian protests are expected.
There were about 250 pro-Palestinian protesters out in front of the Israeli consulate about 7 p.m. last night. By the end of the night, at least 70 of them would be arrested. Not only did they swear at police, but they basically charged police, really trying to instigate a fight. Many of those protesters were dressed in black. They had their faces covered. They lit the U.S. flag on fire.
That's Fox's Steve Harrigan, also in Chicago. There was another bit of drama that also unfolded just blocks from the convention site. A fugitive marshals finally tracked down, barricaded himself inside a Chicago restaurant in a standoff until he was finally